All right. I'll do a couple hours tonight. I let everyone know as much as I could. So hopefully folks will stop by. Ooh, there is a participants thing. Live chat. Timestamps. Why can't I have two of these? I want two of these. Copy current address. Let's see if I do this. This works.
I'm so high off the cactus, in the 745.
For your child in your way. Okay. Oh, I can't. Oh, okay. Cool.
Necklace, hella ice, my left wrist, steak breakfast, bacon Texas, voicemail full, you can't leave a message. Andre McAfee, I got a backhand, get a bitch right, and back on the track, man. Fat man, go dumb on the crowd, go wild, show 'em our style. You see that outfit, mouth bitch, polo Ralph bitch, big screen, fat leather couch bitch, bachelor, ambassador. She's saying no, but I'm still asking her, harassing her, sweating her to get it. I'm a pimp in the net, back fitted. For lose, that means money. Bitch goose, it solicits the honey. No juice with the Winnie. I'm rhino, non-discriminate from black to albino. Play the game, tip off to final. All on a bitch, I'm rich as Lionel. Platinum issue, my diamonds are lion.
All right. I guess we'll just get into it. Kind of thinking I'll start with yesterday's stuff I didn't get to, and then we'll dive into the rest. But yeah, all right. We'll dive into it and kind of see how it goes. I don't know. I've never streamed onto it on YouTube, so I guess we'll see what happens. Hopefully DMCA is not a problem here too, which from what I understand, it's possibly worse than it is. Oh, Twitch. At least that was my understanding for the longest time, unless it is actually better here and I'm just unaware of that. It's highly possible. We'll find out, I guess, huh? We'll find out together. Kind of sucks I can't have to do this every time I want to check chat, but that's fine. So we'll kill the music and we'll just get into it. I mean, as far as I can tell, slowed down vinyl for music is fine. I don't know. I don't know if I get in trouble for anything else. I guess we'll find out, huh? I really don't know. I really have no clue whether I could get in trouble for anything on here or not. Yeah, I mean, I see that I'm live on YouTube. Cool, man. That's awesome. Hopefully people will come by. But yeah, like I said, just to kind of start, we'll just get into, like I said, I wanted to finish. I didn't do yesterday's first thought, and there's a bunch of stuff I didn't get to yesterday, let alone what are you get to today? All sorts of stuff I got to do today, which is great. But we'll start with yesterday's first thought. I didn't get to watch it. We'll go from there and move forward. I want to make sure I cover Jelly Roll tonight. I enjoyed his speech at Senate as much as I don't enjoy his music. I enjoyed his speech at Senate. That was pretty cool. I do want to get to that at some point today. And then, yeah. And then, obviously we'll get into Yemen. Kind of the idea so far. Like I said, I don't know what YouTube's DMCA looks like. I know, like, a lot of this stuff, like, they'll just probably tell the creator that I used it, and if I ever make money off of it, I believe it goes to the creator of the video I used, which, I mean,
in an 84
I'm fucking fine with, because I don't make money off of it. I don't monetize. My channel is not monetized on any platform. On any platform that is. My channel is not platform or
In today's biased news,
isn't monetized anywhere, so I don't think I'm in danger of too much, but I could be wrong. So if we get kicked off, we get kicked off. That's part of the reason I went to Twitch originally, too, was because of their DMCA clauses. And being able to post reactionary content. I like how I said that. Reaction content. Reactionary content. But reaction content and stuff like that is why I went to Twitch. Is because I wanted that that safety net to be able to say, fair use.
cholera outbreak.
But YouTube is also pretty good about fair use. So I guess we'll find out, huh? I guess it just won't be too quiet for too long.
Rages in Zimbabwe. The International Court of Justice begins hearings in the genocide case against Israel. And an African psychedelic plant can treat traumatic brain injuries. Starting Thursday, the International Court of Justice, or ICJ, will hold hearings on the case brought by South Africa in an 84-page filing accusing the Israeli apartheid regime of genocide in its so-called War in Gaza in accordance with the 1948 Genocide Convention. South Africa is not alone in bringing the case, and are joined by Turkey, Jordan, Bolivia, the Maldives, Namibia, and the Organization of Islamic Countries, a 57-member bloc, which includes Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, and Morocco. While the case against Israel is strong, it's been made clear over the last 3 months that the authority of international law may not actually have much sway due to the world's military hegemon, the United States, supporting Israel's genocide. Recent rhetorical shifts aside, the US's actions in the UN Security Council and the Biden administration's adamance in supporting Israel militarily raise serious questions as to whether a ruling by the ICJ will carry any weight. Israel is reportedly taking the case seriously, but plans to bring along a Holocaust survivor to the hearings in a feeble and cynical attempt to bolster their defense. It's unclear how Israel would react.
How many Holocaust survivors have we heard about against the war? Against Palestine. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the main things. It's like, we've seen, Orthodox Jewish people, Hasidic Jewish people, Holocaust survivors. We've seen so many people come out against this war for obvious reasons. I don't see why bringing more is going to change anything, right? It's not like some sort of crazy, like, oh no, like, you're a Holocaust survivor. They should have Israel and kill all the Palestinians. Like, nah, dude, that's not really how this works.
To a ruling from the ICJ that they are indeed guilty of genocide against the Palestinians. Obviously, such a ruling should be grounds for a complete cessation of all military operations in and around Gaza, including the blockade of desperately needed humanitarian aid. However, Netanyahu and the rest of the fascists in the Israeli regime have been very clear in their desire to cleanse Gaza of Palestinians in order to allow Israelis to settle in Gaza. The evidence against Israel is overwhelming, and aspects of their conduct are far more extreme than those found in other acts the ICJ have ruled to be genocide, including those in Colombia where the death toll was less than 10,000. Actions by Israel check all the boxes for the ICJ's definition. The slaughter of nearly 24,000 people, mostly women and children. The purposeful reduction of quality of life. The blocking of medical and humanitarian
here we go.
the targeting of hospitals and places of worship, and countless other crimes. The evidence is as clear as it gets, and the ICJ cannot reasonably deliver any verdict but guilty. Whether pressure from the United States will allow that verdict remains to be seen. including the
Regardless
blockade
of the
of
desperately
desperately
needed humanitarian aid.
history will remember
However,
Israel as
Netanyahu
and the
Sorry,
rest
I'm just
of the
making sure
fascists
this
in the
works.
Israeli regime have been very clear in their desire to cleanse Gaza of Palestinians in order to allow Israelis to settle in Gaza. The evidence against Israel is overwhelming, and aspects of their conduct are far more extreme than those found in other acts the ICJ have ruled to be genocide, including those in Colombia where the death toll was less than 10,000. Actions by Israel check all the boxes for the ICJ's definition. The slaughter of nearly 24,000 people, mostly women and children. The purposeful reduction of quality of life. The blocking of medical and humanitarian
Here we
aid,
go. I can
the
fix
targeting
everything
of
on here.
hospitals and
Oh
places
my
of worship,
God.
and countless other crimes. The evidence is as clear as it gets, and the ICJ cannot reasonably deliver any verdict but guilty. Whether pressure
I know. I just noticed that. God. How do I get this? I want this moved. Yeah, I'll have to go get under the desk and fix that, I guess. By the way, I'm noticing that the delay is insane. It's like 15 to 20 seconds. Just a heads up. Sorry about that. I put it on low latency. I thought low latency would be a lot better than this. I didn't use ultra low latency because apparently it like kind of fucks up the quality. But yeah. I'm gonna go back a little bit, let this play while I go replug in the audio and try to get to work better. It's all like quiet now. Hold on. Hold on. Audio. What? 'Cause it's all quiet and weird too. It should be like that. There we go. It's loud again. Here, this is what I'm going to do. Oh, hey. Yeah, I know. I've got low voice. I know. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Gas voice. I'm about to go fix it. I'm going to do a quick reset, and then you'll have to let me know if it works. And if it doesn't, then I'll have to crawl under the desk again. So we'll just do the quick reset and see if that works. I don't think it's going to, but we'll give it a shot. All right. So tell me after this point if it still sounds low. If it does, then I'll just go reconnect. I like how we're back to low voice.
the capital of Harare. As of January 8th, there have been 1,936 cholera cases and over 300 deaths since the outbreak began on February
Midway through the desk,
23.
baby.
Cholera outbreaks are often caused by a weakening or complete failure of waste disposal systems, which allows contaminated water to make its way into the drinking supply. Areas that...
By the way, low voice or not, I appreciate y'all being here tonight with everything going on. And YouTube is much scarier place than Twitch and TikTok. So I posted a couple videos just for shits and giggles. Oh my God, this is interesting. Audio bit rate is low. Oh, that must be what it is. Hold on. If it's bit rate, I think I might know how to fix this. Does that make it better? After that point? Yep, I still swear the location is in the basket. Why do I have this? Wait, yep as in what? Did it fix it? Sorry, this delay is awful. Oh, hell yeah. Oh my God, I figured out how to fix it. I know what's going wrong with it. Aha! We don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to unplug anymore. Fuck yeah, dude. And it seems like the delay's getting better. It does seem like the delay is getting a little bit better, though.
Rely on traditional wells, as is the case in much of rural Zimbabwe, are at especially high risk due to the difficulty of treating well water efficiently. According to state media, the government's garbage cleanup...
What I was saying, by the way, was...
I posted a couple videos just, trying to get some followers on here, because at first it was saying like 50 followers or you're not streaming. I basically was able to like do a verification and prove that like I do shit, and like this, yeah, and they let me have it, which is great. I'm glad we were able to be here tonight. But I posted a couple videos just for shits and giggles, just to try to get some activity going on my page last night. Dude, my comments are way worse than I've ever seen on a TikTok or at a fucking Twitch chat. Jesus fucking Christ.
Already cleared over 200.
They don't really do much moderation in these fucking comments, I can tell.
Many of the high-density suburbs as of Monday. Thankfully, the recovery rate for cholera patients remains high, and now stands at 96%. In today's lightning round, President Javier Milei announced sweeping reforms as part of his shock therapy for Argentina's economy. The massive bill contains...
Is this the bill where he says that companies can pay workers in milk and bread?
Over 300 new measures.
Who's ready for fucking anarcho-capitalist fucking nightmare that's happening over there?
3 of them in particular will have a devastating impact on the working class. The elimination of price controls on prepaid healthcare plans, the repealing of the rent law that limits price increases, and the repealing of the supply law that allows the government to set minimum and maximum prices and profit margins for goods and services of private companies. German commuters experience widespread chaos.
Am I low? I'm low again? Is that what you're saying? Hold on. Oh, okay.
On Wednesday due to a 3-day national rail strike, contributing to existing...
Okay, so you responded pretty quick to that, so it's the latency is getting better. That's good.
China is projected to have surpassed Japan as the world's leading car exporter last year, according to the China Passenger Car Association. The forecast attributes this shift to significant demand in Russia and a global increase in demand for electric vehicles. Boeing CEO David Calhoun admitted his company's mistake following the Alaska Airlines incident. While Boeing suspects the flaw originated in the aircraft's manufacturing supply chain, specific details about
I'm behind, restart new to YouTube.
immediately disclosed during the meeting. And in positive
10 seconds isn't that bad. 10 seconds is like roughly what we have. I thought it actually might be better than what we have on Twitch.
news for the day, a recent study has found...
Which, by the way, moving forward, I might start simulcasting. We'll see what happens. Now that I have this set up, there's a program I can run so I can do 2, and I'll probably still do the normal Twitch stream, but I'll also simulcast to YouTube.
Psychedelic plant ibogaine significantly alleviated symptoms in war veterans suffering from traumatic brain injuries, or TBI. The naturally occurring compound, found in the roots of the African shrub, improved functioning and reduced PTSD, depression, and anxiety in veterans. The results suggest potential broader therapeutic applications for neuropsychiatric conditions beyond TBI. Ibogaine is currently classified as a Schedule I drug in the US, but legal treatments are available in clinics in Canada and Mexico. That's all for today.
That's wild. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if you look at, like, the world and, like, how we basically gained consciousness from apes by basically eating psychedelic mushrooms, definitely kind of makes sense that you could find something that is healing to the brain.
Breaking news right now.
That's what some people believe. I don't necessarily know that that's 100% true, but yeah. So now that we have, I was basically doing yesterday's first thought just to kill time.
The United States
for people to come in, but yeah, we'll get into Yemen for a little bit. I don't know how I'm going to cover it pretty extensively, probably not extensively as others because I don't know that much and I only know the information that's in front of me. So,
and the UK launching new airstrikes. These are against military positions against the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. It's retaliation for what have been a consistent string of attacks on shipping vessels into the Red Sea.
I like how now everyone's calling the Houthis and not the Houthis now, and everyone's like pronouncing it differently now that we're bombing the shit out of Yemen.
You see the Red Sea there.
I think that's interesting.
Border there, which is coming down the pike over Saudi Arabia's border. And this has been, if you follow the news, a big issue. The UN Security Council recently weighing in, teeing up what the West said was a final warning. Well, it appears tonight now from this reporting that they are past the warning stage. We have a very special guest to try to make sense of this story. David.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to find.
Expert. He served in the Clinton administration. He hosts Deep State Radio. This is not a pure surprise, Dave.
Did you say he hosts Deep State Radio?
In that, as I mentioned, the UN Security Council and other measures had made public warnings that there could be these strikes. Tonight, breaking news, the strikes are happening. Explain to us how we got here.
Well, the Houthis, since the beginning of the conflict between Israel and Gaza, have been harassing ship traffic in the region. It had caused a substantial drop-off in ships passing through the Suez Canal, and that has an economic effect. And they had also been, launching missiles and drones.
So, by the way, I don't know if you've heard this yet, by the way, but this, as Rashida Tlaib puts it, POTUS is violating Article 1 of the Constitution by carrying out airstrikes in Yemen without congressional approval. The American people are tired of endless war. Hey, bro, we might get rid of Biden. We might get rid of Biden out of the race
And things that had
quicker than we thought.
and could have had a much larger negative effect. Warnings had been given, and I think the message is now no more warnings. That 12 sites were struck. This includes sites for drone storage. Drones were one of the means they were reaching out. Training sites and other sites, and it was the U.S. acting alongside the British, which I think sends a message that the international community does not want this to continue, not just any one nation.
As you say, there's been an emphasis and a kind of a telegraphing of this being an alliance, an effort not to make it look like a U.S. Action designed to have a one-on-one, let alone an act of war. I just want to read briefly from that.
This is... Oh, hey. Welcome in. Welcome to our temporary home. Welcome to our temporary home. That is YouTube, which I think is possibly scarier than Twitch. Like, here's the problem too. Hold on. I'm gonna see. So I have like no chat capabilities. That's awesome. So how do I ban people if they suck? Oh, here we go. I can't on this one. Can I also? Cool. So this is what we're gonna do while we're on this topic. Everybody's getting mod status right now. Mainly because I don't really know what the crowd's gonna be like, and judging by the comments I got on the videos I posted, we might have some real fun people in here tonight. So everyone's getting mod status. Cool. Now we can move on.
A diplomatic statement, of course, basically saying that the UN member states, quote, in accordance with international law, may defend their vessels from attack. This being posited as a necessary counterattack. Explain why that matters in the context of the UN having a unanimous resolution.
Well, I think it matters because it shows that the United States and the United Kingdom are acting consistent with international law. The Houthis were not. And I think it also sends...
I just know that, like, at a certain point with a new... I'm still using the same streaming software, but it's same streaming software, but different setup. Things are still a little bit different. I don't quite know how everything works in here. And like I said, YouTube's a different world. There's a lot more conservatives on here. Not that there's not conservatives on Twitch, there is. But because of people like Hassan and a lot of the big leftist streamers that dominate the Twitch culture, there's not very many conservative... Like, I can't think of a single Twitch streamer that is, like, the size of Hassan. So, like, Twitch has a different world. YouTube is a little bit different. A little scarier, maybe.
Message to the Iranians that their support for groups like Hamas, like the Houthis, like Hezbollah, should not be seen as unlimited. We are not intimidated by that to the point that we will not respond, even though we do not want this to escalate. But that last point, we don't want it to escalate.
I mean, this is all monetary, right? This is all economics, right? It's because the Houthis are, maybe it is Houthis, and everyone's just been saying it wrong for the past 4 months, and then I have too. But we'll get to that later. But it's all economic, dude. As soon as that video of the helicopter, because I've seen this video a million times now, like and I'm sure we'll see it on a news story too. Oh look, there's my stream. It's weird pulling up YouTube and seeing me on there.
Attacks, they will bear the consequences for any failure to do.
That was terrifying. Okay. But this video, everybody, and this is actually a repost from 23 hours ago.
This warship HMS Diamond, as it fired volleys of missiles that, along with U.S. planes and ships, shot down 21 drones and rockets launched by Iran-backed Houthi forces overnight.
No, I don't want this. I want this. I like how this is AP posted by New York Post. No, that's not it either. Quit teasing me here. This video. And you know, this is a cargo ship. This is a civilian ship. And obviously no one wants their supply line fucked up. And they don't want to lose money. And since they're taking any ship that passes through the Red Sea, through the strait that they're very close to, and the canal that they're close to, they're gonna. That's why we're bombing Yemen. When in reality, you want to know why they're doing that? They said they will stop doing that once the U.S. and the UN and everybody calls for a ceasefire in Palestine. So they'd rather bomb Yemen than call for a ceasefire, which is psychotic.
So we're going to handle it in a measured, responsible, consistent with international law fashion, I think is especially important.
I mean, you make that point. I want to read from some of the reporting on this in the international section of the Wall Street Journal, which really overlaps with what you raised. And you don't need to be a Mideast expert to look up and see Western strikes on Yemen, the links to Iran, and think about the wider conflict and tension in the region. The Journal reports basically the Biden administration, until tonight, had actually been reluctant to issue this kind of military response to what they see as these repeated attacks, saying, quote, they didn't want to, quote, trigger a war in the region, aware of the group's backing from Tehran. And yet now they count at least 27 attacks by the Houthi group. So another way of saying that is 27 attacks that until tonight had gone unanswered. If someone's watching, David, and they're looking at this and saying, okay, does that mean the risk of a regional conflict that spills out even beyond Israel-Hamas is higher, a sustained involvement of other countries? Is that a greater risk tonight or too soon to tell?
I think it's too soon to tell. The Iranians have a number of proxies operating in the region, and clearly they have been beyond provocative. The Hamas attack was horrific, and their support for Hezbollah and support for the Houthis, support for militia groups in Iraq and in Syria have all, the possibility of having this spin out of control. But I think the United States action tonight with the United Kingdom was to send a message, which is we are determined to keep the peace. We are not going to let you spin this up to a level of chaos for shipping and other kinds of things. And I think ultimately this kind of measured, targeted, consistent with international law response is exactly the kind of thing that can keep this from escalating rather than allowing provocations to continue unresponded to until something happens accidental that triggers something much broader.
Understood. David, appreciate your reporting and analysis on this issue. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez is reporting from the White House. What are you hearing from the administration on what was telegraphed but now is happening, these attacks on the Houthis in Yemen?
What we've been able to confirm, the two U.S. officials telling us that the U.S. and
I thought that was my audio. I was like, what?
Already begun these strikes, but this comes after the National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby earlier today warned the Houthis of any attacks on any ships, and of course the White House has repeatedly issued that warning, but up until now really hadn't had much of an effect. Now the U.S. and the U.K. have been considering this for some time, and the U.S. had already responded by shooting down missiles and drones in the region. The U.S. Navy also recently sank Houthi boats that had fired on commercial ships. But this is an escalation going to these land-based targets. Again, we don't have confirmation on exactly how many targets were hit. We expect to learn more from that in just a short time from the White House. But again, no confirmation yet, official confirmation from the National Security Council. But the breaking news, Ari, as you've been reporting, that those two U.S. officials do confirm that these strikes are underway inside Yemen.
And Gabe, in the minute we have left, should we expect to hear more from U.S. officials or even the president tonight?
We don't have any indication that the president will speak tonight. We hope to hear some type of statement potentially shortly. We do not know exactly when. But again, at this point, the National Security Council isn't even officially confirming that these strikes are underway. But we have no indication that President Biden is expected to speak later tonight. Ari.
Gabe Gutierrez reporting from the White House. Thank you on a busy night there. David, when you take it all together, what would...
Now, here's the thing, is everyone's like, this is World War III. It's not going to be World War III. Calm down. It's horrible. It's awful. It's reprehensible. Unforgivable. But probably will not be World War III. But this is videos, some of the attacks. And like, remember, they're hitting weapons factories like in civilian areas. So the explosions are even larger from, it's not the bomb. They're fucking hitting munitions holding points. Now, can you hit munitions holding points? Sure. But like, once again, just call for a fucking ceasefire. Like, that's all you have to do. Just call for a fucking ceasefire and we'll be done. Quite literally that easy. I'm not going to do the hour-long stream of it. But we'll keep covering that as like more stuff kind of comes through. We just kind of have the basics right now. We understand Biden may not have had all the right in the world to call it, but I'm sure they'll find a way to say he did. Yeah, I think the strike is over as of now, if I remember right. So, but we'll keep an eye on things there. Yeah. I wanted to kind of go through, apparently Trump is ending his civil trial today. We also need to do Democracy Now! So we'll start there while I pull up some other stuff.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The International Court of Justice in The Hague has begun hearing 2 days of arguments in South Africa's historic genocide case against Israel. South Africa's accused Israel of
Let's go.
1940.
Let's go. Come on, computer.
Convention, saying its 3-month assault on Gaza is being conducted with the intent to bring about the destruction of Palestinians as a group. South Africa is outlining its case today. Israel will defend itself on Friday. During today's hearing, attorneys for the South African government laid out what they described as Israel's genocidal intent.
Israel has a genocidal intent against the Palestinians in Gaza.
Yes, they do.
It is evident from the way in which Israel's military attack is being conducted. Israel's special genocidal intent is rooted in the belief that, in fact, the enemy is not just the military wing of Hamas, or indeed Hamas generally, but is embedded in the fabric of Palestinian life in Gaza.
We'll have more on the genocide hearing after headlines. An Israeli airstrike hit an ambulance in central Gaza Wednesday, killing 2 patients and 4 members of the Palestine Red Crescent Society. The aid group said, quote, "Our colleagues were intentionally targeted while inside an ambulance clearly marked with the Red Crescent emblem," unquote. Another Israeli attack near the entrance to the Al-Aqsa.
Like, yeah, you're at The Hague. You fucking damn well should be, and I hope you get fucking convicted. I don't really know what else to say.
Martyrs Hospital
Sounds good.
killed 8 people and wounded over 30. On Wednesday,
I don't know how it works on YouTube. I think you have to just, keep it open in the thing. I don't know how
the head of the World Health Organization,
how it
Tedros Adhanom
reads views. I'm kind of less worried about views tonight than usual.
aid into Gaza.
Delivering
Lagging
aid in Gaza continues to face
lagging audio. I hope not. I hope it fixes itself. I'm also doing like 9 things at once and my computer's having a problem. So if anything, it might just be that. Let me check.
intense bombardment, restrictions, fuel shortages, and interrupted communications make it impossible for WHO and our partners to reach those in need. We have the supplies, the teams, and the plans in place.
I know. How about now? Is that better?
5
Is the video staticky? Or is it just my voice?
armed men wearing military uniforms have reportedly seized an oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman. This comes as tensions have been soaring for weeks in the Red Sea. On Wednesday, the UN Security Council passed a resolution calling for
we're working our way through it.
forces to stop attacking ships.
New platform, new problems.
The vote came a day after U.S. and British forces shot down 21 drones and missiles fired by the Houthis, who vowed to continue attacks until Israel halts its assault on Gaza. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and Florida Governor
We'll make it through.
Ron DeSantis squared off.
It's just funny how like I literally couldn't take 3 days off of or 2 days off of streaming. I had to like pull this together.
CNN hosted debate in
I have a problem.
Iowa ahead of the state's January 15th caucus. Republican frontrunner Donald Trump, who's yet to participate in a primary debate, had been invited to attend but opted to take part in a Fox News town hall.
Could take 2 days off.
DeSantis criticized Haley for supporting sending more money and arms to Ukraine.
She supports this $106 billion that they're trying to get through Congress. Where's some of that money going? They've done tens of billions of dollars to pay salaries for Ukrainian government bureaucrats. They've paid pensions for Ukrainian retirees with your tax dollars. We've got homeless veterans. We have all these problems.
Right, and why do people like you cut funding to the VA then? A system fucking exists to help veterans, right? It's called the VA, and you keep it severely underfunded so it can't take care of people. I have no reason to. I 100% believe veterans should also receive free housing from the government. 100%. I don't agree with the government. Yeah, Sigma Grind said no days off. Exactly. I have I have a problem with the government. I have a problem with the wars they do. I'm not crazy about these wars, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, these people are victims to the wars that they've served in and forced to do for a multitude of reasons, right? These people need help. These veterans need help. And it exists. It's called the VA. You know what I mean? But if you keep it severely underfunded and it can't help anybody, then you want to use homeless veterans as your mouthpiece. It's insane. It's insane, dude. It's absolutely insane.
This is the UN way of thinking, that we're somehow globalists and we have unlimited resources to do. I think here's the problem. You can take the ambassador out of the United Nations, but you can't take the United Nations out of the ambassador.
Nikki Haley questioned Ron DeSantis about whether he's ready to run the country.
The best way to tell about a candidate is to see how they've run their...
Yeah, I guess we didn't get to get any coverage of this afterwards because I got fucking banned midstream. But because I got suspended midstream. RonDeSantisLies.com. That's how many times did she say that? Hold on, we never even went to that. Ron DeSanctimonious. Look at him smile. Dude, I even got my dad to laugh at that the other day. As my Republican dad, I got him to laugh at that the other day. We were watching something. I was like, "Come on, man." He's just over here. Like, come on, Ron DeSantis can't even smile. He was like, "That's fucking true." I was like, "It's so funny." Yeah, I'm gonna go to the site. Did you say it was RonDeSantisLies.com? I think that's what she was saying, right? Or did I spell DeSantis wrong? I might have spelled DeSantis wrong. I might have. Hold on.
campaign. He has blown through
Let's Google it.
$150 million.
Ron DeSantis Lies. I think I'm spelling that wrong.
He has nothing to show for it. He spent more money on private planes than...
No, I'm not. Fact checking Nikki Haley's...
to vote for him. If you can't manage a campaign, how are you going to manage a country?
Hold on. Fact checking site check. Use more context. Yes, buy it. More than a dozen times she calls Ron DeSantis' lies. Yeah, but do you have the link? This site does point to independent fact checking to help push back claims, twisting Miss Haley's position on things like Gaza refugees. I need to see this. Yeah, give me a link. Ron DeSantisLies.com. Oh, speaking of, are you able to send links in this chat? I don't know if you are. I mean, as moderators, you probably are. Yeah, give me. Rivals lean forward. Oh, it's just DeSantisLies.com. Okay. Still no link, but I'll. Hell yeah. Welcome to Ron DeSantis' World of Lies. The more DeSantis loses, the more he lies. Getting the facts checked. This is great. Oh, yeah, you can. Okay, cool. Oh, it makes me do this, but whatever. That's fine. Okay. Like I said, I might simulcast in the future or do both, but I don't know how active I'll be with my YouTube chat because right now it's cool. I'm telling you, I would not be surprised if this chat gets absolutely horrific very quickly. So we'll see. For the next 2 days, we'll probably be fine. It'll probably just be the gang. Gaza refugees lied. DeSantis falsely claims that Haley wants to accept Gaza refugees in the United States. Truth. Haley has specifically said Hamas-supporting countries in the Middle East should absorb Gaza refugees. I don't like that. Energy. DeSantis falsely claims he never banned fracking and offshore drilling in Florida. Truth. DeSantis just supported a fracking and offshore drilling ban when he was campaigning for governor. On his second day in office, he signed fracking and offshore drilling ban and was praised by the liberal Sierra Club.
What you don't need is a president who is against energy and...
Hell yeah, dude. Are we watching a video made by Nikki Haley or are we buying a truck?
Ford F-150.
President who is against energy independence. Ron DeSantis is against fracking. He's against drilling.
No, it's not true.
With 4 seats.
Offshore drilling here in Florida.
When President wanted to do offshore drilling, I opposed him on it.
If you did offshore drilling, you may create some jobs in that industry, but I think you'd probably cost more jobs overall.
We're going to be seeking $2.5 billion for water resource. That represents $1 billion more than the previous 4 years. $1 billion more. $1 billion more.
We don't need to do offshore drilling here. We have reached a deal to purchase 20,000 acres of land that is currently slated for oil production. So we'll permanently save the land from oil production.
Right, because it's not in my backyard rhetoric, Nikki. You do the same shit. Especially conservatives love the not in my backyard bullshit. I support fracking, but sure as fuck not off the coast of Florida.
And an oil exploration.
That's what he's saying. That's all he's saying.
He's drawn the line that he wants a ban on fracking. He wants to ensure that the drilling does not occur. It's a new day, and we're extremely excited.
We're not doing any left-wing stuff.
We're also going to...
Is she calling him wet left wing? That's hilarious.
Such as, within DEP, make sure that we have a chief science officer.
We're not doing any left-wing stuff.
The quality is
Ron
rough.
DeSantis says he wants $1 billion put toward efforts to brace the state of Florida for the impacts of climate change. Ron DeSantis is against fracking.
No, it's not true.
Do you also support a ban of fracking?
Yeah. If you did offshore drilling, you may create some jobs in that industry, but I think
This is great. China subsidies. DeSantis falsely claims he never gave Chinese companies government subsidies or recruited Chinese businesses. Truth. Under DeSantis, Florida's Economic Development Office had a Hong Kong office to recruit Chinese companies and invest in Florida. DeSantis gave Jinko Solar, a Chinese solar company, hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxpayer subsidies. DeSantis also takes campaign cash from a Chinese-backed company, I guess. Great. Well, at least it exists. What's he got for Hillary? DeSantis falsely claims Hillary Clinton is Nikki Haley's role model. DeSantis is sorting Haley's comments here. Oh, that's so funny, dude. Now I got this. Now I got all my YouTube things coming up. My YouTube and Twitch notifications popping up on screen. I don't need that. I don't know what I did for that. Just like started. That was YouTube because I fucking here. Well, we'll finish the news, but I wanted to. I'll show you the fucking YouTube post that upset me today. You want to hear my fucking my streamer goss of today? It would be this picture of JonTron and fucking Meat Canyon together. That fucking posted by Meat Canyon. That pissed me the fuck off. I was like, "Oh, cool, dude." Like, ask him who he thinks is doing the most crime in the country. See if you still want to sit next to him.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie dropped out of the race. He was caught on a hot mic saying she's going to get smoked.
Oh, holy shit! This chat isn't working for some reason. Hold on. I just noticed this. We'll pull this one over and I'll duplicate this one. And we'll put this one back over here. Sorry. Technical issues. This one works better. This is the actual... Oh, I can't make it any smaller. That's fine. Sorry, I didn't see your chats right away. I got you. We're on it. Lies of YouTube.
And in
let's see. Hold on. I'm sorry. That riff. Got commercial stock footage of farmers and shit. McKinney surprisingly right-wing, pretty big letdown. I mean, he doesn't... Because, like, I've watched a lot of his content, and I'm not meaning, like, his cartoons. I mean, I've watched a lot of his in-person content. He's got pretty good politics, though. Like, he's actually... He's got pretty okay politics. Like, I just didn't think... I don't know, man. Maybe he's doing the whole, like, white guy apolitical thing, which kind of pisses me off, too. Well, I'm not a political streamer, so it doesn't really matter, and I don't care what this person said. That's kind of what I imagine.
An apparent reference to Haley. Chris
I don't want to let him go this quickly. I'll give him a chance.
also predicted DeSantis would drop out.
Although highly disappointing and kind of upsetting to see
Other
that.
Trump news, closing arguments are scheduled for today in New York in the civil fraud case brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James against Donald Trump. On Wednesday, the judge in the case struck down a request by Trump to deliver his own closing statement because the former president's legal team refused to abide by the judge's restrictions not to turn his remarks into a campaign speech. On Capitol Hill, far-right Republicans are pushing back against House Speaker Mike Johnson after he reached a bipartisan $1.59 trillion spending deal with Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. On Wednesday, a dozen members of the
Chuck Schumer, Amy Schumer's, I think, like second cousin.
House Freedom Caucus joined Democrats to block an unrelated bill to show their opposition to Johnson's deal.
Oh, and I don't want top chat. That might have been my problem.
Have voted to endorse a report recommending Hunter Biden, President Biden's son, be held in contempt of Congress. On Wednesday, Hunter Biden made a surprise appearance at a House Oversight Committee meeting and offered to testify publicly. But Republicans refused. They've been insisting on questioning him in private. In other House news, Republican lawmakers held their first impeachment hearing focused on Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. In Ecuador, police have arrested at least 333 people.
Oh, my God.
After President Daniel Noboa declared a state of emergency.
This is a mess.
Violence by drug cartels. During an interview Wednesday, Noboa said...
Dude, I was searching all day for a Twitch chat client like I use for... Or a YouTube chat client like I use for Twitch, the normal chat I use for my Twitch. And fucking YouTube doesn't allow any of that, so I'm literally stuck using like a little website. It is the dumbest thing.
Ecuador is now in a state
I'm sure there's like a way to make it different, but I
of war. Schools across Ecuador will remain shut down until at least Friday.
But yeah, I wanted to cover Ecuador. Well, I was going to cover Ecuador last night. Then everything happened. Yeah, now today's kind of busy with a lot of stuff too, but we might get to it today too.
Authorities in South Korea have confirmed the recent stabbing of opposition leader Lee Jae-myung was a politically motivated attack.
No way.
Lee Jae-myung, who survived the assassination attempt, ran for president in 2022 and narrowly lost to conservative Yoon Suk-yeol. Police said the attacker wanted to prevent...
Dude, isn't it crazy that when you have like a stabbing event and even it's used as like even an assassination plot, how the victim doesn't fucking die because they didn't get shot with a gun? Isn't that fucking wild? Wild. It's almost like having heavy anti-gun laws in South Korea probably saved this guy's life.
Him from running for president again in 2027. This is Busan Police Commissioner Woo Chol-mun.
The suspect stated that he held a grudge that the victim, Lee Jae-myung, was not properly punished, and he wanted to prevent the victim from becoming president, stop him from giving nominations to certain groups, and taking a majority of seats in the upcoming general election. That is why he decided to kill the victim.
In health news, wastewater testing shows the U.S. is in its greatest COVID-19 surge since Omicron, making it the second largest surge of the pandemic. Around 1,500 people in the U.S. are still dying from COVID every week. Public health experts say two of the main reasons are waning immunity and not enough people accessing treatments and vaccinations. Rates of infection are up globally as well. The World Health Organization reports 10,000 COVID deaths were recorded in December, while hospitalizations increase in dozens of countries. In Spain, authorities have reissued face mask mandates in health facilities.
It's a basic and minimum measure, which we learned from the pandemic. And that is, when we have an upward trend, the first thing we need to do is protect the most vulnerable people, people who have some sort of infection.
I don't know. You don't want to do the American way and just do exactly what Jean-Pierre said the other day and just goes, nah, our jobs aren't masks. We're not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
that needs to be
You're
continued.
going to do something?
The method that is most scientifically endorsed is the mask.
In Ohio, Republican House legislators voted Wednesday to overturn Republican Governor Mike DeWine's veto of legislation that would ban gender-affirming health care for transgender youth and bar trans athletes from playing on school sports teams. 3/5 of the Ohio Senate must also vote to override DeWine's veto for the bill to become law. The ACLU of Ohio slammed state Republicans, saying, quote, "This state-sponsored vendetta against some of Ohio's most vulnerable young people is beyond cruel," they said. In related news, 2 transgender women vying for seats in the Ohio House of Representatives have been challenged for not disclosing their birth names on nominating petitions. Both women said they were unaware of the rule, but that they would have complied despite the harmful nature of the requirement. One of the women, Ariane Childry, said of the rule, quote, "Having to use your dead name is horrible. It's an attack on who we are," unquote. Vanessa Joy, who's appealing the decision last week to disqualify her, also warned that transgender people should not be forced to share their dead names due to safety concerns. Here in New York,
That's nice.
lawsuits filed by
At least they're like not using dead names.
prisoners at the Great Meadow Correctional
Donut operator. Xbox.
Facility accused.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's not like I have followed his politics super close, because he also doesn't really talk about politics, because he's one of those creators who's somewhat smart about it. But he does give, I mean, he's from Missouri. So, I mean, let's be fucking real here. He's a white man from Missouri, so...
guards of abuse and torture.
I guess I wouldn't be shocked. But I mean, and that's the thing though too. If he's one of the like apolitical types, he just may not care about people's politics. I don't know. I'm not letting, I don't want to have to lose another creator, man. You know? I've lost so many over the years to fucking bad politics. Too many. We've lost too many.
2 men, 44-year-old Charles Wright and 32-year-old Eugene Taylor, say they were brutally beaten by guards who also took them to another facility where they were waterboarded. Both men say they were falsely accused of disciplinary infractions after the event. A separate lawsuit filed by 44 prisoners says guards inflicted physical and psychological abuse on prisoners during an October lockdown, including violently attacking them.
Sure, man.
Great Meadow.
Yeah, I mean, his videos are great, and yeah.
Is located in Comstock, about 200 miles north of New York City. In North Carolina, Ronnie Long was awarded an historic $25 million settlement for his wrongful conviction and 44-year-long imprisonment. Long is a black man. He was accused of raping a white woman by an all-white jury in 1976. He was exonerated and released in 2020 after a court ruled his due process rights were violated, citing extreme
Breaking news right now out of the Middle East.
Oh, God, sorry.
Which
in the
include
UK, launching
concealing
new...
lab evidence
We already know.
that showed Long was not linked to
We already know.
Scene. Ronnie Long has put some funds from a previous settlement towards...
And like the way he covers things, that's the other thing too, is like the way he covers things, even in his cartoons. I don't fully believe that he himself is a conservative. I don't. I just the way he covers things, and I just don't. I could be wrong though. What was I doing? I was doing something. Oh yeah.
Efforts to reform the criminal justice system. And the family of the late Eddie Bernice Johnson, the trailblazing black congressmember from Texas, has blamed a Dallas rehabilitation facility for her death and say they'll file a lawsuit for medical neglect. Her family says the spine infection that led to her death December 31st developed following back surgery after staff at the Baylor's Scott and White Institute left her lying in her own feces. Eddie Bernice Johnson was the first registered nurse elected to Congress, where she served for 3 decades.
Bruce is sort of being weird, Rachel's red pill incel. So there's that. Right, exactly. Like, I don't know. And like, that's the other thing too, is like, and maybe this is me just being like parasocial and taking the lead of other creators when I probably don't need to be. But Hassan has talked about being friends with Meat Canyon and like expressed like he doesn't have bad politics really. And maybe that's where I kind of get my bias from. But I just find it hard to believe he's like a massive conservative. I really do. I find it way too hard to believe. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Ones and community members gathered.
Maybe you can calls him like he sees him. I'm just kidding.
Concord Church in Dallas. Among those who paid their respects were lawmakers who were inspired and guided by Johnson. This is Royce West, Texas State Senator.
What she made certain of is that issues concerning health care, accessible health care, that we worked on those.
Ooh, this would be a good video to watch.
Education, historically underutilized businesses, building coalitions based on interests, not based on the color of one's skin, gender, or political affiliation. And she often told us, just because you speak loud, don't mean you're going to be able to get anything done. Her life is a manifestation of that.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Nermeen Sheikh. Welcome to our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
Yeah. Dude, my computer's like running real weird, which is funny because like I'm not taxing it. Why is it running so weird? Temps are fine. That's weird, dude. Everything's like kind of slow. And I already restarted, huh? Maybe it's because I'm streaming on YouTube and trying to pull things off of YouTube at the same time. Maybe it's fucking up the client. Like, it's getting confused on what I want. I don't know. I don't know. It's running like shit. Everything else is fine. I don't know. All right. We'll get to Trump's civil trial, and then we'll probably get to at least a little bit Hunter Biden. And then I'm gonna do the Jelly Roll speech. And then from there we can kind of just fuck off. I mean, I think there's a couple other things maybe, but the rest of it. I found some other like weird anti-China stuff. We got a new Meditations for the Anxious Mind. Oh, and I got a bunch on Twitter. We got a bunch of TikToks. God, never-ending TikToks. I gotta say, it does feel weird watching YouTube videos on a YouTube stream.
Fraud trial after a dramatic scene in which the former president himself addressed the court. The judge had only allowed Trump to speak on the condition that he focus on the facts, but the president quickly veered into other territory, claiming he is an innocent man being persecuted, and the judge telling defense counsel...
He's just like me, dude. He's just like me. We are one and the same. We are white men being held down and oppressed. Him by the courts, me by Twitch. We're being oppressed.
So please control your client. To be clear,
obviously I don't believe that.
The former president...
I know I don't need to say that, but I feel like just in case, you know, if that clip ever comes out of somewhere.
Found liable for inflating the value of his properties to get favorable loan deals. And it's just the penalty that's left for the judge to decide.
Keeping us down.
General Letitia James seeking a $370 million judgment. NBC News has learned the judge will attempt to issue his ruling by the end of this month. MSNBC national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian is reporting for us outside the courtroom in New York. Vaughn Hilliard is in Urbandale, Iowa. Also with us, Renato Mariotti, former federal prosecutor. Okay, Yasmin. Let's talk about what we're expecting to hear from the prosecution when they start their closing arguments. Somebody might argue that, at least in terms of drama.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo. What was I already lost the name. I forgot the name.
Donald Trump's a tough act to follow.
It was just a fucking Italian ass name. Hey, yo.
Yeah, I think that person would likely win that argument. Nonetheless, I think Letitia James has got a lot in store. She's going to have 2 hours of prosecution. She is not actually likely to offer those closing arguments to other attorneys. I mean, in the Attorney General's office, we'll be offering those closing arguments. Let me walk you through, Chris, if I can, some of the written statements that were provided by the Attorney General's office ahead of these closing arguments today to give us kind of some indication as to the direction that they're going to be heading in. I'm saying, quote unquote, virtually every action they took in preparing these statements of financial condition, I should say, was part of a fraudulent scheme. They claim that Eric and Don Jr. are unable to carry on with this organization and should have a court-appointed monitor. They go on to talk about the old post office building in Washington, D.C., saying they used fraudulent documents to win the bid to renovate and operate a hotel there, profiting, by the way. And this is part of the reason why they increased the fines that they're asking for from $250 million to $370 million, profiting $140 million. They concluded in this statement, Chris, by saying this: the conclusion that defendants intended to defraud when preparing and certifying Trump's statements of financial condition is inescapable. The myriad deceptive schemes they employed to inflate asset values and conceal facts were so outrageous they belie innocent explanation. That is just a portion, Chris, of what we are likely to hear over the next 2 hours when it comes to the prosecution's closing arguments. The former president has, in fact, left the building after, as you just talked about, offering his own version of those closing arguments, in which he was then subsequently cut off by Judge Engorn. And then we're going to have to wait.
The truth.
Wait and see when that decision is going to.
Okay, well, are you going to give us the closing? I want the closing statement.
Judge Engorn has been incredibly meticulous, incredibly cautious. He has.
Cool. There's a speech. There's a speech he did right after. That's what we're gonna fucking. We'll do this. All three of them don't look real. No, they don't. The lawyer thing's insane too. Or are they like shocked that there's a woman Secret Service worker? Is that why they're just filming her? Let him speak. My big beautiful boy. Oh my God. I don't need the grandiose entrance. Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't know where she got her fucking degree or how she passed the bar, but to take on this case and to back up Donald Trump is a very stupid decision. When no other lawyer would touch him, and you're gonna take the case, like, that's insane. That makes me question anything that goes on in your brain at all. If you're like, yeah, dude, like, I'm definitely for this guy. I'm going to throw my whole career in front of this. It's worked out for the past, like, 8 of them, which I think a few of them went to jail, if I'm not correct. And then fucking Giuliani got charged with insane amounts of fines and fees. Yeah, it's be Donald Trump's lawyer.
Let's remember that before I walked into court, we had already lost. That was clear.
Yeah, where's the trap music and champagne?
Judgment. Before witnesses, before experts. And do I think any of it mattered? I certainly hope so. But for everybody that was in the courtroom for the last 11 weeks, you heard that there was not one fact against President Trump. There was not one piece of paper that showed
Take it rain in the halls of Congress.
Fraud. And
President Camacho, 2024.
6312, a consumer fraud statute has been wrongfully used against my client. In
the audio here.
The organization and every employee of the Trump organization, which has single-handedly changed the New York skyline, including the building we are in.
Oh, I know what's going on here. They're using a mic like mine which is mono, and they're not doubling it. They're just fucking you leaving the one line open. It's dumb.
Special properties. Real estate is an art, not a science. But you know what else is an art? You know what else isn't a science? Political motivated individuals. She's using this to paint a canvas that Donald Trump is a fraudster because they can't beat him in the polls. They can't beat him in the polls, so she ran on Trump because that was the only way she could win. And now, today, after 11 weeks, after 3 years, we have concluded that he indeed committed no wrong. The Trump organization committed no wrong, and the kids have been dragged in just like the other.
But it's what plants crave.
Defendants.
You mean water, like out of the toilet?
America needs to step up, and there's only one person who can do that. My client, Donald Trump. President Trump, everybody.
Thank you very much. Years with this person. She's a political hack, the Attorney General. The judge is obviously extremely friendly with the group, and we'll see what happens. I think maybe he may surprise people on a positive side. We'll have to see what happens exactly. But we've proven this case so conclusively. We've asked for directed verdict many times. They don't have any facts. They don't have any evidence against us. Millions and millions of pages, years of litigation, and all politically motivated. She campaigned on a "I will get Trump." If you've ever seen any of her clips, they're horrible clips. Actually, the anger. She's got serious Trump derangement syndrome. There's no question.
It's not what Trump derangement syndrome is. First and foremost. Second, Donald Trump has this like really good skill of using racist tropes without just coming out and saying it dead on. It's unbelievable. She's very angry.
Question about Letitia James,
Where are you going with that, Donald?
corrupt Attorney General of New York.
She's just an angry person, naturally. Like, what are you saying, Donald?
Against us, other than one person who is
for the drop. I wonder if it's working.
A lot of problems. He's a man who's been convicted.
No, it's not working.
He's a felon.
I got to find a better way to take. Miming a dog whistle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I need to find a better way to take samples from this, because I can do it from my phone. But the computer's the end of the audio. You know what I mean? These are things that make noise, and they come in and collect into the thing that takes the noise and does something with it. So I guess I can try to figure out a way, because this sampler I was trying to use just doesn't work. I need something that I can just grab audio.
Convicted felon.
A cameo.
Not a good person, but that's their only witness, and he's now crashed and burned. They have no witnesses. And by the way, that witness took back everything that he said. He took back everything he said in court, took it all back. So they have no case. It's a shame that a thing like this is able to happen. Businesses leave New York. She went after Exxon, and they decided to move to Texas. And hundreds of millions of
real estate, dog.
dollars they pay in taxes.
That has nothing to do.
Over
Sure, taxes play a part in it, but like the taxes in New York have been the same. You know, they've always been high. That's just the way it is. Welcome to fucking New York, dude. I don't know what to tell you, dude. You know how much like fucking services you're paying for in that goddamn city? One of them being like unlimited steam being pumped to your fucking house for heat and shit. Like, do you have any idea the amount of money it costs to run New York? Like, they're not making a profit, Don. Like, they're not making a fucking profit, Donald. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
$100 million of.
But they leave because of the real estate. And the real estate, one could argue, is bad because of you, the self-proclaimed king of real estate of New York.
over the last number of years.
The man who denied people of color housing. That guy.
And they don't recognize that. They don't recognize anything. So think of it, not one witness.
And as we learned recently, poisoned the water of a 92-year-old Scottish woman.
Millions of pages of document, years of this nonsense, and now it goes on. And one other factor, we won this case already.
You know, that documentary was a little slow, but I'm glad I watched it. It was good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
But this judge has been very, very slow to accept that opinion because that's not the opinion that he wants. But we won in the Court of Appeals. That's the boss of this judge. He has to know that. And it was a conclusive victory, statute of limitations and other things. And that case has already been won. So that's the story. And I thought we'd come down to 40 Wall Street, which is a great building, and you'd get a chance to see one of the nicest buildings in New York and a convenient place. And I don't have to pay any rent because we have it, and it's been a very successful building. But it's a shame to have gone through this for years.
And I don't have to pay any rent because of New York rent laws. Because it's New York rent laws, I don't have to pay rent.
Years and years, and now we'll see if we're going to get an honest verdict. We didn't have a jury. We had no rights to a jury. It's a statute that's never been used before for a purpose like this. I just watched a certain broadcast, and they said, they've been looking, has it ever been used before? This is a statute that's a consumer fraud statute, never been used for anything like this before, and it's a shame. It's really it's a witch hunt in the truest sense of the word. It's election interference. And it just came out, this was just right now, Letitia James visited Joe Biden in the White House numerous times.
Oh no! Oh no!
Witch hunt. And this just came out about 10 minutes ago, I got it.
Letitia James has met Joe Biden? Oh!
And so it's all a conspiracy to try and get Biden, who can't put two sentences together, trying to get him into office. So I just want to let you know that we have our best poll numbers, we have the best everything, despite this, and maybe because of this, because the people of the United States, all of those people back there, but the people of the United States really get it. They get it better than anybody else. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, do you agree with your lawyers what they said on Tuesday, that you should not be prosecuted or could not be prosecuted if you ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill a political opponent?
Well, you're talking about a totally different case, the immunity. I say this, on immunity, very simple. If a president of the United States does not have immunity,
who fucking knows? They're all in government.
He'll be totally ineffective because he won't be able to do it.
He's just trying to say Joe Biden told her to do it.
Because it will mean he'll be prosecuted, strongly prosecuted perhaps, as soon as he leaves office by the opposing party. So a president of the United States, I'm not talking just me, I'm talking any president has to.
Lords of Base, how does that make you feel? I wish I was the press, yeah.
As an example, Biden could come out and you could get him on the border, you could get him on what happened in Afghanistan, a horrible, most embarrassing moment in the history of this country. You could get him on a lot of different things. You could get him taking cash from countries. You could get him on the prosecutor not prosecuting his son or the company or whoever it was, Burisma, in Ukraine. You could get him on that, where it was a quid pro quo, if you remember that. If they don't drop the prosecutor, we're not giving them $1 billion of U.S. funds. If you don't have immunity, you can, you won't be.
It's not how it worked, but whatever. And oh no, the president did something that you say should be under qualified immunity, essentially, that you should be immune as a fucking president to do your job, the thing you're fighting for, right? Right. The thing you're fighting for. So you're going to fucking go after Joe Biden for this non-evidence based bullshit. Look, even if that is what happened, according to you, he was just doing his job and he shouldn't be in trouble for doing his job. Dude, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He's taking this immunity case so he can save his own ass. And he's got Republicans tricked into thinking that they want this for him. Because if the immunity case goes through, everything you're fighting to get Joe Biden arrested for, None of it matters. If you get immunity, Donald Trump, that means Joe Biden gets immunity. That means Obama gets immunity. That means Hillary Clinton gets immunity. That means fucking, you know what? Jimmy Carter's still fucking breathing, so you know what? He gets immunity. Like, what are you thinking? You know, Donnie Slaver was the most embarrassing moment of this country. Yes. That's
Be making any decision, so you have to have it. And I liken it to the fact
easily the most embarrassing thing of this country.
Police have to have their control back. They have to have respect. And you can always have a bad apple. You can always have something happen. But at the same time, you
I can't roll my eyes hard enough at that fucking.
have to stop crime in this country. It's very much like that. It's very similar to that. But you have to have immunity for a president. And I think most people are seeing that. I've read a lot of legal reports lately and scholarly reports that are saying you really have to have a president of this country has to have immunity, or they're not going to be able to function in office. Yeah, Bob?
President Trump, we're just days away from the Iowa caucuses. What percentage of your time these days is spent on your campaign, and what percentage is spent on your legal issues?
Well, see, my legal issues, every one of them, everyone, civil and the criminal ones, are all set up by Joe Biden, crooked Joe Biden. This is something that's never happened in this country. Even when you look at this is all about Biden and her meeting. So even the civil ones, this is civil, they're set up by Biden. Every single, just about, case that I'm involved in is set up by Biden. They're doing it for election interference. And in a way, I guess you'd consider it part of the campaign, because if you really look at it, they are doing this. It's never been done like this in this country. It's like we're a third world country, a banana republic. But every one of the things that you write about are Biden indictments. And
which we're going to get a Hunter here in a minute, which is funny because the headlines are so funny on this one, on both sides, because it's just great. You got to love the like sharp division in news. Like MSNBC and CBS have like Hunter Biden pled not guilty to tax fraud today. That's all it says. Fox is like, Hunter Biden bombshell. He confessed to it. He confessed. Like, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene posted, look at Hunter Biden run away like a bitch. Like, so we're going to cover it.
Oh, you know, I just got a poll. We just had a poll.
Yeah, I read scholarly articles. My friend Elon Musk, he retweeted them. They're definitely good to read.
Came out, and we're leading massively in Iowa. We're leading very big in New Hampshire. We're leading because the people understand this stuff. These are all set up. Every time somebody sees me in court, remember, Joe Biden and his thugs that surround him did it. They're trying to get a man in office that can't put two sentences together, and they're doing that. But so far, we seem to do very well.
You have the Iowa caucus Monday, an event in New Hampshire Tuesday. Are you going to be back in court for the Eugene Carroll case on Wednesday?
Yeah, well, that's another one. That's sponsored by Reid Hoffman and some Democrat operatives. I never saw this woman in my life other than they have a picture with her and her husband, John Johnson, a nice guy who was a newscaster many years ago. I remember him, and she said horrible things about him since. I mean, horrible, horrible things, called him bad names. I have no idea who this woman is.
Do you imagine being named John Johnson?
I have absolutely
just saying.
No idea. The whole thing is ridiculous.
I could not imagine being named John Johnson. I'd be pretty upset about that. My name's John Johnson. Johnson.
That's
funny to me.
This is even a case. This should never have happened. But again, this is sponsored by the Democrats. It's another case. All sponsored by, it's a demeaning kind of a thing, and that's what they want to do. It's called election interference. And yeah, I'm going to go to it, and I'm going to explain. I don't know who the hell she is. I have no idea. They called me up years ago, and they said, do you know about this woman 25 or 30 years ago? She doesn't even know the date, the time, the month, the season. She has no idea. And if you read and if you watch, take a look at the Anderson Cooper interview of her. And if you take a look at that, Trump is so innocent. But we have been given a very unfair trial there, too. I don't get very fair trials in New York.
Have you made a decision about whether you're going to show up for the federal trial enterprise. You showed up here in New York for your civil fraud trial. You just said you're going to show up for the E. Jean Carroll case. Are you planning to show up in court when they begin, whenever they begin?
Sure,
the
sure.
documents case?
I would do that. Well, the documents case, I just hear where they want to try and exonerate Biden, and he didn't have the Presidential Records Act, and I do.
No, you don't.
What I did, nothing wrong. What he did, a lot of people say substantially wrong.
We did the same thing. Joe Biden complied with Secret Service. I did not. But what he did was definitely worse.
You can't have two tiers of justice in this country.
Right. Dead on, my brother. Good call, my guy. Good job. Exactly. Can't have two tiers of justice in this system. That's why you're going to fucking trial, because you did not comply. Okay? Get that through your fucking orange dome. Unbelievable.
But no, I want to go to all of my trials. These are all set up by
Get fucking moving.
Biden and the Democrats.
He's not going to show up to all the trials.
This is their new form of cheating. This is, like last time, this is their new form of cheating. So far, I think it's gone very much against him. Yeah, please.
Yes, during the hearing, you said that Exxon left New York because of the New York Attorney General's case, but Exxon actually left in 1989.
No, they took the rest of their divisions out. Yeah. They left earlier. They were treated very badly in New York. You could have had them in New York. They could have been paying a lot of money.
But it wasn't Letitia James's.
Oh, no, I think if you take a look, you read the case, study the case, you'll see that they took big divisions out after that. They originally left and then they took the rest out.
You just said you could get President Biden on various issues you outlined.
I didn't say I could get him on anything. I said he is using the weaponization of the DOJ and the FBI to go after his political opponent, and you just can't do that. Thank you very much.
You just so happen to be the political opponent. And that's the other thing, too, is in all technicality, you hadn't announced that you were running for president yet when you were indicted. So, are you really a political opponent? Curious. He's such an idiot, dude. I mean, he's not really an idiot. He's just a grifter. He's a massive grifter. And that's all he is. And you know, everyone wants to run the country like a business. Well, I hate to tell you this, government is not business. There's no profit to be made in government. That's not how this works, right? There's no profit to be made in government. What are you talking about? It's not a business. I'm sorry. Like, that's your main problem here, is that you think government should be ran like a business when it's not a business. Capitalism, baby. All right. We'll get into the Jelly Roll speech, and I think we might be getting towards... Oh, no, that's right. We got to do Hunter Biden. We got to do a quick Hunter Biden recap. We'll do this one and then Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what we'll do. Keep it short.
President's son, Hunter Biden, has now officially pled not guilty in a Los Angeles court today. These are for tax charges. The judge in the case is proposing that trial starts June 20th. Now, the special counsel appointed by Merrick Garland, who was, of course, appointed by President Biden, accuses President Biden's son of basically tax evasion and spending money on everything but, quote, his taxes. All of this is coming as both sides had initially...
No shit. What else was he spending his money on? Anything but taxes? I don't think you need to list what he spent his money on. I don't. I mean, you can, sure. It's going to be hookers and crack, dude. It's going to be hookers and cocaine, brother. That's what he fucking spent the money on. So I don't understand why you're confused or need to pull all this up. We're aware. We're very well aware. But I also argue that it doesn't matter what he spent his money on. It's because he didn't spend it on taxes. It doesn't matter where he spent it. The crime is not spending it on taxes. Charge him. I don't give a shit.
Initially been close to...
He didn't pay his taxes. That's an undeniable fact. So...
that would have avoided this prosecution and trial, but it was dropped. Now, that's the legal case. The politics, though, suffuse this thing. Republicans have tried to link Hunter's situation to President Biden and fast-track basically ploys in Congress to merge the cases, to smash them together somehow. Republicans now holding 2 committee votes that would hold Hunter in contempt of Congress over clashes about him testifying in the Biden impeachment inquiry. Hunter Biden, of course, made waves by basically doing a kind of surprise counterattack where he said he would testify, but only in public to Congress, not in a secret proceeding.
Yeah, because, and I agree with, oh God, what was his name? The other guy who had the speech yesterday. But I agree in the fact that, like, the way you're telling people, like, oh, we're going to do this behind closed doors, so I can just make any narrative I want in here, doesn't make sense. Why would you not? I said this months ago. Why would you not try him publicly? Why wouldn't you? Don't you want the slam dunk? Don't you want Hunter Biden to have to say, yeah, I bought drugs? Like, don't you want that? Like, oh, wait, because it's probably because you're not going to be able to get anything that damning out of him. He might have a chance out of this. Probably not, though, because he didn't pay his fucking taxes.
He and his aides say would basically risk exploitation for Republican propaganda. We're joined now by NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli in L.A., where Hunter Biden was for the arraignment. Andrew Weissman with us. Mike, what happened?
Well, Ari, as I continue to look down at my phone, we're getting live updates from inside the courtroom where this hearing is still underway. And you mentioned this is the headline as we have it so far, that the judge in this case, Mark Scarsi, has set an initial trial date of June 20th for this trial on these tax charges to begin. Of course, Hunter Biden also faces a separate set of gun-related charges, which is being handled by a Delaware court. And so the discussion as it's happening right now behind me in the courthouse is making sure on the part of Abby Lowell, the lawyer for the son of the President of the United States, Hunter Biden, that neither of these trials will end up in conflict with each other. Now, Ari, you know I'm usually a campaign reporter. I'm much more comfortable in a caucus than a courthouse. And so I look at this court date, this trial date of June 20th, and I immediately think of the political calendar here. We're talking about the heat of a presidential year. We're talking about 1 month before the Republican convention, 2 months before the Democratic convention. And so obviously the question is, how much will these ongoing legal proceedings continue to affect President Joe Biden as he seeks a second term? But we know, of course, that the former president, his likely opponent at this point, also has his hands full with multiple different cases across the country as well.
Yeah, makes sense. And as you say, there's a lot of collision on the calendar. I will tell you, Mike, to take a brief diversion, we know you as a very fair and objective reporter, whether it's a caucus or a courthouse. So that's our view here from the mothership. And
from the mothership, I hate that
report. Andrew Weissman's still with us. For those who look at a case like this, it is unusual. It is what is supposed to be an independent Justice Department, and using the special counsel for that purpose, opening up this prosecution of the son of the current president. That alone is striking. Tell us about that situation, and then any thoughts you have specifically on these charges, which, even if they're not always brought in a criminal setting for taxes, are not nothing. Like all defendants, he's presumed innocent in the courtroom, but some of these charges could amount to something serious.
Oh, absolutely. With respect to the severity, I do think there are a lot of questions about the gun charge because of it's so rare to charge that.
Yeah, he was fucking being an Oregon cell.
Particular offense, having a gun while you're addicted. That's just not a crime that, in my experience over 20 years in the Justice Department as the head lawyer at the FBI, that I've ever seen charged. That is one where you would normally see some kind of treatment being the kind of remedy as opposed to.
Yeah, dude. And like, here's the thing, the whole gun charge thing, I forgot that was even part of it. The gun charge thing is dumb. So Republicans care about extensive background checks and checking up on citizens to make sure that they should own a weapon. You're going to tell me that conservatives are going to charge somebody to take their guns? Great. Fucking smart, dude. Real smart. Dude, that's one of the funniest things about Republicans and conservatives. They'll do anything to own the libs, including shooting themselves in the feet. And I say feet, not foot, both.
Criminal case. But that, with respect to tax charges, those are brought. And yes, Hunter Biden is presumed innocent at this point, but he will have a trial. He has an extremely
He's guilty. We know he's guilty.
Defense lawyer.
We've seen the evidence.
The jury will decide whether the case
He
is
pled guilty the first time around, but they took his plea bargain away. So here we are.
proved beyond a reasonable doubt. I think that I sort of take the big picture of this. If you step away from it, the son of the president, is that you really have here almost exhibit A to the fact that Joseph Biden, the sitting president, is not engaged in weaponizing the Department of Justice. It is his Department of Justice who has indicted his own son. Yes, they appointed a special counsel, which is part of the Department of Justice, and the charges were brought. In other words, he did not interfere in any way with those charges being brought. That is just remarkably different than the way the Trump administration operated and the way in which Donald Trump is saying he would operate going forward if he were reelected. So I think that's sort of a big picture takeaway to my mind in terms of two different ways in which presidents and a former president view the rule of law and the proper role of the White House in connection with how they should be interfering or not in criminal cases. And I think this is such an exhibit to that hands-off approach that the current president,
all right,
when he was elected,
he's talking slow as hell,
really walking the walk when it comes to even his own son being held to account.
Where's the Fox one? We don't have to do it though. Yeah, we don't have to do it. It doesn't matter. Let's move on. We get it. We get it. All right, we'll do the jelly roll thing, and then I kind of want to also see the Midas Touch video on Marjorie Taylor Greene showing Hunter's dick again. Because that's great.
Phone in front of me.
You know, I usually support all other fat gingers. I'm usually not a jelly roll fan, though. But he did have some good shit to say today. To Senate, so I wanted to cover it. So,
during the time that I've been given to share my testimony here, I think it's important to note before I start that in these 5 minutes I'll be speaking that somebody in the United States will die of a drug overdose, and it is almost a 72% chance that during those 5 minutes it will be fentanyl related. Having started that way, Chairman Brown, Ranking Member Scott, and esteemed committee members, thank you for having me. I know this is a bit of a curveball, but I like a little baseball myself. My name is Jason D. Ford, but to most I am known as Jelly Roll. It is important to establish earlier that I am a musician and that I have no political alliance. I am neither Democrat nor Republican. In fact, because of my past, my right to vote has been restricted. Thus far, I have never paid attention to a political race in my life. Ironically,
that doesn't make you neither a Republican or a Democrat, but whatever.
I think that makes me the perfect person to speak about this because fentanyl transcends partisanship and ideology, gentlemen and women. This is a totally different problem. And I was speaking outside to the media, and I gave them a statistic that said 190 people a day overdose and die every single day in the United States of America. That is about a 737 plane. That's what about a 737 aircraft can carry. Could you imagine the national media attention it would get if they were reporting that a plane was crashing every single day and killing 190 people? But because it's 190 drug addicts, we don't feel that way. Because America has been known to bully and shame drug addicts instead of dealing and trying to understand what the actual root of the problem is with that. But the sad news is that that narrative is changing too, because the statistics say that in all likelihood, almost every person in this room has lost a friend, family member, or colleague to the disease known as addiction. I've attended more funerals than I care to share with y'all. This committee, I could sit here and cry for days about the caskets I've carried of people I loved dearly, deeply, in my soul, good people, not just drug addicts, uncles, friends, cousins, normal people. Some people that just got in a car wreck and started taking a pain pill to manage it. One thing led to the other. And how fast it spirals out of control, I don't think people truly understand. So many people. Equally, I think it's important for me to tell y'all that I'm not here to defend the use of illegal drugs. And I also understand the paradox of my history as a drug dealer standing in front of this committee. But equally, I think that's what makes me perfect to talk about this. I was a part of the problem. I am here now standing as a man that wants to be a part of the solution. I brought my community down. I hurt people. I was the uneducated man in the kitchen playing chemist with drugs I knew absolutely nothing about, just like these drug dealers are doing right now when they're mixing every drug on the market with fentanyl, and they're killing the people we love. I'll be honest with y'all, my desire is to only get older and only do better and be better. I believed when I sold drugs genuinely that selling drugs was a victimless crime. I truly believe that, y'all. My father always told me what doesn't get you in the wash will get you in the rinse. Now I have a 15-year-old daughter whose mother is a drug addict. Every day I get to look in the eyes of a victim in my household of the effects of drugs. Every single day. And every single day I have to wonder if me and my wife, if today will be the day that I have to tell my daughter that her mother became a part of the national statistics. History repeats itself, gentlemen. Even in the 1990s, crack cocaine had long made its way into my middle lower class neighborhood. And at that moment, even as a teenager, you could have never convinced me in that moment that there would be a far bigger problem on the horizon in the form of a pharmaceutical drug. And then I watched opioids and Oxycontin burst onto the scene. I'm here to tell y'all that fentanyl is going to make the Sackler family look like saints. And I want to let y'all sit with that for a second. It is time for us to be proactive and not reactive. We were reactive with crack, we were reactive with opioids, and y'all are taking the first step at somebody in Senate finally being proactive. I truly believe in my heart that this bill will stop the supply and can help stop the supply of fentanyl. But in part of being proactive, gentlemen and women and ladies, I have to be frank and tell y'all that if we don't talk to the other side of Capitol Hill and stop the demand, we are going to spin our tires in the mud. Y'all are taking the first step, but I encourage you to take it outside of this room and you take it to your colleagues and your constituents and you give them the most that you can. I know I've got a few seconds here, and Senator Brown said I may or may not go over. All I want to say is that I not only encourage y'all to do this, I encourage y'all to take it a step further. At every concert I perform, I witness the heartbreaking impact of fentanyl. I see fans grappling with this tragedy in the form of music that they seek solace in music and hope that their experiences won't befall others. They crave reassurance. These are the people I'm here to speak for, y'all. These people crave reassurance that their elected officials actually care more about human life than they do about ideology and partisanship. I stand here as a regular member of society. I am a stupid songwriter, y'all, but I have firsthand witnessed this in a way most people have not. I encourage y'all to not only pass this bill, but I encourage you to bring it up where it matters, at the kitchen table. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. D. Ford.
Yeah, I want to just kind of let him speak on that too. I think that's a really important thing. I have no notes, you know, man. Addiction's a fucking horrific thing going on in this country, and criminalizing addicts and putting them in jail and giving them felonies for being addicts is insane, and it's not going to get anyone better. Plain and simple, dude. It's not going to get anyone better. No one's getting it better this way. All you're doing is making things worse, and it's a bummer, you know, because how are you supposed to rehabilitate if you can't get a fucking job? You know, how are you supposed to do any of this stuff if you can't fucking get better, if you can't make money and you have to turn back to fucking drugs and selling drugs? And it's a vicious cycle. You need to stop this shit. And at the end of the day, A lot of that comes from socialized fucking healthcare. It is unobtainable for the majority of Americans, and especially the majority of addicts, to go to rehab. It is unobtainable. Like, you literally have to be, you have to have privilege. You have to be a privileged person to go to rehab, and that's insane. Everybody should have an option to get better. But we've given them no options. What, you send them to AA? You send them to NA? Bro, that stuff is garbage. That is garbage, cult garbage. Stop it. People need medical care. They need medical care, dude. And especially when it comes to opiate addicts, these people have to be on Suboxone or fucking methadone for years, tapered off for years to get to a point where they're physically okay. Because of the long-lasting withdrawals of opiates, these people have to spend crazy amounts of money to go get medications so they don't get sick and so they can work and be functioning members of society. Insane. That shit should be free. Plain and simple, dude. That shit is just so fucked up. And it pisses me off. And once again, getting back to like the cause of this shit, dude. Poverty causes 99% of this stuff. You need to fix the poverty. Oh, it's socialism. Yes, it fucking sucks, dude. So what else are you gonna do? Let them die? Oh, because they're addicts, they should just die? Like, fuck you, if that's what you think. But sadly enough, is what the majority of this country thinks. It's crazy. I don't know why I keep putting this search right in my way. I'm like, no, I don't want to see this screen. All right, we can kind of start getting into fun stuff. We've done news for 2 hours. We'll skip Lauren Boebert and fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't feel like getting into it. They're doing their same shit, different day, you know? Let's do a palate cleanser. We'll do a daily dose of internet for a palate cleanser. And we'll get into some other stuff. I also want to see more Perfect Union, Why Waffle House Thrives on Violence. That's a good one I want to watch. We might get to FD Signifier tonight. It's like a maybe. I want to. It's also something I want to cover with like. I might wait till I'm back on Twitch for that one. We'll see. I might just do it anyway. I don't expect to do long streams on here, by the way, either. I'm probably just going to do kind of like I was doing when I was working for today and tomorrow. Probably watch a video, get through the news, watch a couple videos, get off, at a decent time. Mainly because, like, it's a different place than usual, and I'm not, like, worried about, like, getting views on here as much as I am on Twitch, so. Once it gets to bedtime, I think we'll probably call it a night. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Because there's a part of me that wants to maybe do GTA or a Grand Theft Auto roleplay tonight. Problem is, though, I have to end stream and then restart a new stream. I'm not allowed to do like on Twitch where you can just change the category and change the name and then just keep streaming. I have to fucking end stream and then start a new stream to do gaming. And I don't know if that's necessarily what I want to do tonight. We'll see. We shall see. I gotta pee too, so let's get something up. Oh yeah, we're gonna start with. Well, I want to watch Daily Dose, so I don't want to pee through Daily Dose because it's only like 3 minutes. Fine, we'll do. What you got? Oh, why is it opening there?
On March 19th.
You know what's funny is actually
in Marshfield, Wisconsin.
We watched a little bit of this one the other day too because it was on just some clips of it the other day from it was a Karen getting arrested compilation thing I watched the other day. You're right here. I'll throw this on now and I'm just gonna run to the restroom real quick.
A distressing 911 call was received from a female urgently requesting an officer's assistance, but refusing to provide further information. The call was accompanied by the sounds of a male shouting in the background. In response, officers were promptly dispatched to the location traced through the ping of the female's cell phone.
I think it's in here.
Police department! Police department, open the door! Police department, open the door!
Hello?
Hey, this is Officer Clark, the Marshfield Police Department, calling you. What's going on? Well, we got a call from this number stating, okay, well, what apartment are you guys in? Well, we're trying to, we just want to make sure everything's okay, all right? So we just got to check on everyone. Okay. Well, how would you know we're knocking on the door?
We're not leaving, come to the door!
I love people.
Open the door!
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize how loud that was.
Oh.
What's going on?
I have to go to work. No, I have to go to work.
Okay.
I'm not willing to be late for work.
Okay, what's going on?
I have to, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing, I have to go
Probably should have thought about that.
to work. I don't even know why you guys are here. Get away from me, please. You're making me feel, I want the chief of police here.
Okay.
Whoever the supervisor is.
The chief of police here.
Okay, I have to go to work.
Give me the chief.
Sir, I have to go to work.
So you called it.
No, I didn't. I don't know who called you. I did call you.
What's your phone number? Let's start with that.
603-85. I'm from New Hampshire. Well, I'm from Massachusetts originally.
Okay, so who's in the apartment with you?
Me?
Okay, who else?
Me?
Is there someone else?
I have to get ready, sir.
Okay.
I have to go to work. I have to go to work.
We got a call.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh.
Okay, so that's the number that called.
Yeah, I actually have two different numbers on my phone.
Yeah, how are you gonna...
Number that called 911.
Oh, you're right, it was.
They needed some help.
Okay.
Why we're here.
I have to go to work, y'all. I have to go to work. I have to go to work. I have to go to work. I'm not talking to you. I'm not speaking to you. I have to go to work.
Who else is inside?
I have to go to work. You guys are going to cause me to lose my job. Please let me go to work. There's no one inside. Please let me go home. Please. I have to go to work. I have to go to work, sir.
What the fuck are you doing?
Oh my God, stop.
Get the fuck away from
me. This guy's great. He's about to, look where he's fucking aiming that taser too. Because this always works out, yeah.
Stop.
Just squealing, yo. Calm down.
Please go get
I didn't do anything. I thought you guys were hurting my wife.
Everything. You fucking stepped out the door with looking like you're trying to punch someone with like the worst punch form ever. Getting out like stupid.
Officer! I can't breathe! You just tased my boyfriend for no reason!
You need to
calm down.
Let's take her outside.
You just know I can't breathe. No!
You're gonna go outside.
I can't. I go!
Let's go outside.
Oh my God! I can't believe this!
I gotta adjust this cuff too before.
I've 100% dated people like this though, so I can't even talk too much shit.
No, you are.
Never called the cops, but that's definitely something an ex of mine would have done. 100%.
Brandon's your first name, right? Yes, Brandon, all we had to do was talk about that.
You want to know what I would have done in this? If I was this guy, you know what I'm doing in this situation? I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Okay, you called the police? I sure as fuck don't want to be here.
Can you take the taser out of my leg, please? We want to sit you up though, so you're not.
Like, I'm out of here. Like, you're about to get arrested for fucking false reporting. I'm out.
Guys, I didn't do anything wrong.
But
you came out tensed up at us, man. You can't be doing that.
Come out with your fist.
I didn't leave my apartment. I did not leave my apartment.
You did, but you can't come out trying to fight us.
He just lost his job.
All right.
He just lost his job. I can't afford to lose my job. Please help me. Please. Please. Guys. Please. Please. I'm gonna lose my job.
Have a seat in here.
I'm gonna lose my job. Please don't. Please, I'm not gonna run. Why would you guys handcuff me? I wasn't running.
Okay, listen. You called 911. Just listen, all right?
Yeah, just out there in the cold.
911 because he was being a douchebag. I was just trying to threaten him with the fucking cops.
Okay, that's
That was
inappropriate,
it.
first of all, right?
I understand that, but
Okay.
he wasn't doing anything, and I wasn't doing anything.
Okay, you got every police officer over here because we thought someone was being murdered, beat up, and
No, I'm fine. You guys did all of
And
this.
when we show
He
up-
thought that you were hurting me. Of course he came out here to help me. He thought you guys were hurting me.
Okay, you called
You
911.
just tased him.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing anything. Oh, please. I have to doing anything. I'm trying to talk to you like a normal
Put your
person.
legs inside the vehicle.
Please talk to me.
No, put your legs inside the vehicle right now.
Can you please talk to me?
No, put your legs
Can you
inside.
put the window down?
We can roll the window
Can
down.
I please be in the know? I want to know what's happening. Guys, please. I have to work. I'm under arrest?
Yep. You're
Why?
under arrest for obstructing an officer, first of all.
I'm going to jail?
No, you're not going to jail. You're under arrest right now.
I have to work at noon, guys. I can't afford to lose my job.
I'm sorry. You shouldn't have called 911 and...
I didn't do anything, sir.
Yes, you did.
So I'm going to lose the work at noon. Please.
Put your leg in. Put your leg.
Put your leg in, or you will go to jail. Put your leg in the car. Put your leg in. Put your leg in the car.
Please put the window down a little
Put
bit.
your leg in the car.
It's just a little bit.
That was weird.
How you doing, Officer Bird?
I'm okay.
Nice to see you
I'm gonna
again.
take care of you here, buddy.
I hope there's not going to be anything stupid from this. Nobody's hurt. I don't feel like I'm not going to make paperwork out of it. So if you need needle nose, I have needle nose in the cabinet.
You guys are so fucking lucky. It's basically because there's a kid involved. Otherwise, that dude would probably be getting hauled off
A
too.
little bit. Stop yelling.
Talk to me. I need to know what's going on, please, sir.
You're being arrested for 1, disorderly conduct. 2, resisting an officer.
I wasn't
3,
resisting, sir. I have to go to work at noon, please.
that is resisting an officer.
Sir, I have to go to work at noon.
And 3, for obstructing an officer by filing a false police report, which caused us.
He wasn't. I called the police because he was yelling.
Okay, you told me that you just made that up.
No, I told you he was yelling.
That he was being a
I called the
douchebag. Yeah.
Sir, I can't afford to lose my job.
I'm sorry about that.
So do I have to go down to the station?
You're gonna come down to the station right now, yeah.
Please, can you bring me back now? I'm trying to be back before work, please.
No.
So is she going to be held?
We don't know yet. You just screamed in my face.
I'm sorry. I have a baby I have to take care of.
Where's your baby right now?
That sucks.
In there?
Yes,
Whoops.
I have to go to work.
Okay.
Please, I have to go to work, please.
So who's gonna watch the baby?
I'll call out. I'll call out. I just have to be there for my baby. Please don't take him away from me.
All right, we're not gonna take your baby, but we gotta find somebody for him right now. We have to go through what just happened right here, and
Sir.
we're gonna go do that at the police department.
Okay, well, can we go now? I have to work.
You want to call them and just let them know you're gonna be late?
I can't. I'm the one that opens.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's not gonna happen right this exact moment. So.
Okay, well, yeah, can I please call them? Everything's in my phone.
Okay. Well, we'll have to go get that in a second here.
Sir, what's going on with my boyfriend?
I don't know. I'm out here talking to you. Do you think I?
Decision's got you here.
Like, I don't know. I've been standing next to you the whole time. Have you heard anything?
Try getting her to calm down. We cooked her breakfast this morning. I didn't do anything besides cook bacon and sausages for us.
What part of cooking has you stepping through a doorway with your fist raised at police?
We have to work through that. Nothing else happened.
That's pretty funny.
And we're not going to rush this because you're.
What part of cooking has you walking out with your fist raised to police?
Sir, please. Nothing happened. He was yelling and I called the cops and that is it.
Okay. You were screaming that.
You guys just look
That
for
we need to get there.
reason to arrest me. I don't get it.
I don't even know who you are.
I'm not telling you.
And that's another reason we're not going to let you go. Then.
And I'm not telling you.
She said that her boyfriend was being a douchebag and that she wanted him to get scared.
Yep, that's basically what he said.
Obstructing, disorderly conduct, and resisting, in my opinion.
So when she started screaming like she's being right now,
he came to the door like we were hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we were hurting her.
Fist up, ready to go.
Does he need to go to jail over this? There's a baby in the room in there?
Yep.
Okay, so if he's rational and capable, let's leave him there based on the circumstances.
Okay. Are you going to stay calm?
Yes, I promise.
Okay.
See,
I
friends are
need
going to
you.
work.
I need you to stay calm and cooperative at this point. All right. I'm going to have Officer Fox unhandcuff you so you can tend to your baby.
Bro, I'd fucking leave her in there.
Okay. What is your name?
Sir, I'm not yet. Please, I have to go to work.
She'll be screaming at him from jail on the like little fucking payphone.
Why aren't you pulling out every cent we have to pay on bond?
Like, cause you can fucking stay there. You did this shit. Shouldn't be calling the police to the house for no fucking reason. It's so stupid, dude. That's so stupid. And like the amount of like white confidence too for her to call the police and expect for her to walk outside and be like, oh, well, you know, nothing happened. We're all good. You can leave now. Is insane. If the police are there, they're arresting somebody. They're not just going to be like, okay, we're just checking on you.
What is your name?
I have to go to work.
I'm asking you what your name is,
Why?
so I can address you.
Shakira.
Okay, is that your name?
Shakira. You can call me Shakira.
Shakira what?
Shakira Flabbergasted.
Shakira Flabbergasted. Okay.
He's like, and there's giving me a false name.
Do you have any mental illnesses that I need to be concerned
No,
about?
just bring me to the fucking police station. Or can someone let me call my work, please?
Not at this time.
I cannot afford to lose my job, please. Please. Can I please call my work?
Not at this time. I told you that.
Why?
Because you're under arrest.
Sir, can you call them for me? All you have to do is go in my phone.
I don't have your phone with you.
And I wasn't lying earlier. I have two different numbers on one phone. I have an eSIM card and a regular SIM card. I was not lying to you guys. I'm gonna lose my job.
I don't know what to tell you.
Sir, please just...
No, your actions are way inappropriate, and your neighbors don't have to put up with this.
Sir, I just want to make sure I don't lose my job.
I don't know what to tell you.
I shouldn't have called the police.
He said he wasn't doing anything wrong. You guys are so fucking trigger happy. It's retarded. All cops deserve to get shot.
Okay.
Fucking tased my fucking husband? What the fuck kind of shit is that?
You guys are so trigger happy and you're like such bad people. That's why I called you. Idiot.
There's fucking 6 of you. You guys gonna bum rush?
That's what I mean by don't call the police unless you absolutely need to. You know? Car got stolen and you need a police report for insurance? Sure. They're not going to find your car. They never fucking do. Someone trying to hurt you and you can't fucking defend yourself? Sure. Because your boyfriend is yelling at you? Nah. It's a dumb fucking choice.
You fucking loser! Bring me to the hospital. Hospital.
For what?
Bring me to the hospital. I want to kill myself, and I feel like I want to kill myself. Bring me to the hospital.
Okay. Duly noted.
Bring me to the hospital. I want to kill myself. I'm having thoughts of suicide. Bring me to the hospital. Bring me to the hospital. I'm having thoughts of suicide. I want to kill myself. I'd like to talk to an officer.
Okay. What would you like to talk about?
I would like to go to the hospital. I'm feeling suicidal.
We're not going to take you to the hospital because you're going to go to jail, so.
Really?
Yep.
Wait, what is he doing then?
We're still working through that, but
Wait, why am I going to jail?
I told you that already.
Can I just get bailed out?
No.
Wait, I'm going to jail? For
Yes.
real? Wait, why? I'm going to sleep in a prison? Sir, why am I getting arrested?
For disorderly conduct?
Because you're dumb.
Obstructing an officer?
He's not getting arrested?
Huh? We may arrest them too, yeah, but
So what about my baby?
we'll take care of the baby.
Oh my God, you're going to take my baby?
I'm not going to take your baby.
Is CPS coming to get my baby?
Did I say that? No, I did not say that at all.
Bailed out.
Because in
Oh my God, please, sir, please, no, please.
I'll be 1095 to the PD beginning of 74990. 74990.
Oh,
I don't have
God.
a name for you
What's
right now.
going on with my baby? Is he getting arrested? Sir, Why am I getting arrested?
Is my baby getting arrested?
Because you created.
Yes, we have tiny handcuffs for your baby.
Anything. I didn't know that I was resisting. I was just trying to see if he was okay. Sir, please don't do this. I will swear to God, I will stop from here on out, guys. Please. Please.
I will stop from here on out.
No part of your
Someone tells me she's done this before.
actions have
Sir,
caused me to believe you.
I'm trying to talk to you like a normal person right now, sir, please.
Okay. You have not identified yourself yet either.
My birthday is 10. My social security number is. Please, sir, don't arrest me, please. I'm already arrested.
You are arrested, yes.
I only called because
They're already going back, dude.
scare him.
It's over. Once you're in handcuffs, it's over. There's no releasing you at that point.
Yelling at me anymore. I was wrong. That was wrong. I was wrong. That was illegal. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm the one getting arrested.
Because of your behaviors after it. Now,
Sir, please don't arrest me.
you are arrested right
Okay,
now.
well, please don't let me stay over the night. I promise my actions will change.
I'm not seeing a significant change in your behavior, but
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'm sorry.
just take a couple breaths. We'll talk. Hey, just take it.
No, I don't.
You're not listening. Take a couple breaths, and we'll talk when we're at the PD. Just breathe for a couple minutes. That's all I'm asking you to do. Okay, we're gonna step out of the car. We're gonna go in my booking area, and you're gonna have a seat. All right?
Officer, I really don't want. Please, I know I don't have a choice, but guys, I didn't know that I was resisting arrest.
Okay.
That's great. Good shit. Real good shit by them. I mean, probably don't need to be arresting the crazy woman because she called the police. At the same time, what did you expect? I'm sorry. You called the police. You just called them trigger happy thugs. So you called them? That's dumb. Zero thought. All right. Daily Dose of Internet.
Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of Internet. A few days ago, a door on a plane suddenly opened and fell off a few minutes into a flight.
Oh damn, they're like up there.
Everyone on board was...
Dude, I mean, I've seen the videos, but I didn't see anything that clear yet. Everything else I've seen has been reposted to hell, so you can't tell what it is.
Okay, so there was no one seated there.
Paprika.
I found a YouTuber that made a metal mask that can repair itself. The mask is made of nickel titanium and can be repaired instantly just by having heat applied to it.
Yeah, that's everybody talks about that as like the self-correcting metal. It's pretty cool.
This poor dog fell...
I'm working on video editing, but I'm not quite that good.
A can prank. Why is this capybara so small?
Capybara, capybara, capybara. Capybara, 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 capybara.
These guys helped a sea lion that showed up to their house party.
Look, it's the ocean. That's your home. This is where we part ways. Now, you have two choices. The ocean or the cookout.
I found a company that made something called a mouthpad. It's a little device that can allow people to use a phone or computer by only using their tongue.
That's actually fucking wild. That's super fucking cool. That's like accessibility to the max for phones. Except for the fact, let's be real, except for the fact it's probably not financially obtainable. Just spinning the dog around.
A harness.
Apertura automática.
I've seen this. That's one of my favorite things. Bird people post these all the time of their birds doing this shit with paper. It's hilarious.
You probably want to eat this food, but it's not real. I paid an artist to make some realistic food out of wax. There's a fuel shortage in India right now, so many delivery drivers are having to resort to using horses to deliver food.
Your food's gonna be all fucked up.
Gago kagid. Kailinit si mo.
I feel like this should be illegal.
Dude, Chihuahuas are fucking great. I love Chihuahuas. I don't care. People are like, Chihuahuas are rats. No, they're not. They're great. They're brave little psychotic dogs, and I love them.
Cool.
What are you doing?
That is the end of this video.
Why?
We hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon.
Why? What? Holy shit. No, why? I need to know why. I need to know why. I need to know why. Because, like, even if, like, okay, let's say the customer ordered a size they can't do for some reason, or why would you just not? Why would you take that big? Hold on, let's see what he says.
I feel like this should be illegal.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad you agree. Why wouldn't you just give him the whole pie?
That is the end of this video. We hope.
I'm so fucking confused. That fucking upsets me. I don't think there's a reason. There's not a good reason for that. You're going to waste that. It's wild. All right. All right. Oh, we didn't get to cover the Mississippi thing. God damn it. That's my bad. We can just do it. Fuck it. I'm just going to do it.
The families are angry.
We haven't had it. For some reason, I haven't covered this on stream yet. Blame the ban. Waste a good pizza. Sorry to like bring down the mood, but I definitely want to cover this. I don't want to just skip over it. I feel bad just skipping over this massive injustice. Even though I got the vibes more positive.
The gruesome discovery of 215 bodies buried in unmarked graves behind a jail outside of Jackson, Mississippi, has left a community in disbelief. The families are angry their loved ones were buried in so-called paupers' graves, marked by just a metal rod and a number, and families were never notified of their deaths. The startling revelation came months after the mother of 37-year-old Dexter Wade filed a missing persons report last March. It wasn't until August when Betterson Wade learned her son had been hit by a police car and killed, then buried in that same cemetery. For more about this case and the disturbing details that have emerged since then, I am joined now by Betterson Wade and civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who is representing her and other families. Welcome to you both. Ms. Wade, can I just begin by saying how very sorry we are for your loss, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you all, too.
I understand, Ms. Wade, you contacted the Jackson Police Department after reporting that your son was missing several times, even after he had been buried without your knowledge. Give us a sense of what they told you over those many months and what those months were.
It's just crazy. Like, excuse me. It's just absolutely crazy. Like, I mean, of course it's fucking Mississippi, and of course it's Jackson, and of course it's like just police department trying to cover up their crimes.
Like for you, not knowing where your son was?
Well, it was devastating to me because I didn't know where he were. And then I was calling them. They didn't have no information to let me know, have they, found any information. All the, details that I gave them for leads, they never came back to me to say, well, that lead it to something that we can work with. And I just couldn't believe that he had disappeared off the face of earth and nobody knows where he at. And it was just horrible for me. And every day I wake up, I just look, just looking for him, just out in the streets looking for him. And I mean, that's heartbreaking for a mother. And can't say hello, don't know how to get in touch with him. That is a horrible thing for a mother.
Mr. Crump, after it was discovered that Dexter had been killed, that he had been buried in this grave, his body was exhumed in November. There was an autopsy conducted. He was given a proper burial. But I also understand a wallet was found in his front pocket with his ID, his home address, his insurance card. What's the explanation officials give for why no one was notified he had been killed and buried?
There really is no explanation that they have offered. They claimed that they tried to reach out to Miss Bettison, and you should know that Miss Bettison is the named plaintiff in a lawsuit against the Jackson Police Department because they killed her brother 3 years earlier. She went through 2 criminal
Jesus
trials,
Christ.
several press conferences. So when they called her house, if they did call her house like they claimed, they knew where she lived. They knew how to get in contact with her if they really wanted to notify her that her son Dexter had been hit by a police car. So it is very suspicious that they would just bury him in a pauper's grave because they said they could not identify his next of kin. Miss Bettison does not accept it, and because of her tenacity, it has exposed all of these loved ones being dropped in a hole in a bag behind a Mississippi jail.
Mr. Crump, the Jackson mayor did say there were mistakes. He also just said
They're also leaving out, maybe not on purpose, but leaving out the part where they made the prisoners of the jail dig the graves.
that Dexter Wade's death was a tragic accident. He said there was no malicious intent in failing to notify the family. We know the police department has new notification procedures right now. What recourse are you specifically
Back the blue, brother.
seeking right
Don't worry.
for these families you represent?
We're seeking to have the Federal Department of Justice come in and do an investigation to make sure that each and every one of these citizens, disproportionately Black citizens whose lives matter, will be identified, their families notified, and them given a proper funeral.
And I should say, Ms. Wade, I mentioned families because you are not alone here. There's been, in the last few months, the discovery at least 2 other men, 40-year-old Mario Moore and 39-year-old Jonathan Hankins, were also killed and buried in that same cemetery, and their families not notified for months. From your perspective, Ms. Wade, what do you want to see happen now?
Well, first of all, I feel like that the city needs to give me an acknowledgement to say that, hey, I'm sorry. I mean, just give me some kind of closure and explain to me what actually happened to my son.
And, hopefully millions of dollars.
On that freeway that night,
City's going to have to pay through the nose on that one.
Occur.
Which they should have to.
Down the event.
But of course, the police involved probably won't get fucking fired. They probably won't get convicted.
Went down with it. And I want to
Which is what should happen.
I want to see justice done for this because it's wrong. It's wrong to take somebody's child and bury them in a field and I didn't even get a last chance to say anything to my child, or either I didn't even get a last chance to just say, baby, I love you.
Yeah, and I don't think he was killed in a gun situation. I believe he was hit by a police car.
Look down on him and say, baby, I love you. They haven't even.
It was literally a situation that these guys were like, oh yeah, we cannot get away with this.
Call me and say, Miss Wade, could you come down and we explain to you what happened? I mean, I haven't even got a word. And so how do that feel? That makes you feel like they are guilty. They are guilty of a crime because they can't tell you what happened.
Ms. Wade, do I understand correctly that the mayor, no one from the police department, has reached out to you to explain what happened to your son?
No one have reached out to me to say, explain it, to explain what happened to my son. But I did at least have city supervisors, the board supervisors to say, that they hated what happened to me. But I haven't had said anything. Nobody from JPD, Jackson Police Department, have came to me and acknowledged me.
Mr. Crump, the story gets even more disturbing with this discovery of 215 bodies in that cemetery. What do we know about those bodies?
We know based on the records from the coroner's office that since 2016, in the last 8 years, we can identify 215 individuals that were buried behind that jail, and their families have not been notified. Furthermore, Mr. Wade was number 672.
I was wondering about that, by the way. I was wondering about that. I was like, guys, they go numerically, and if they go numerically up and down the rows, why is it at 650? Or why are you showing me 672? You said 215 bodies. Those numbers don't match, which is insane. So I would say it's a good indication that there's probably something even deeper in there. It's just wild.
171 other people buried behind that jail, marked with only a number.
Mr. Crump and Ms. Betterston Wade, I thank you so much for joining us tonight.
All right, we can go back to normal stuff. Sorry, I feel bad. I'm like, I'm not gonna just skip it. Like, I'm not just gonna skip it. Because I forgot it earlier. Because it's important stuff. It's really important that they talk about a city police department that's burying bodies secretly behind a jail. Back to blue. All right. Do we get into Waffle House and violence? I think maybe we do. Seems like a fun but kind of maybe serious video, so I'm down.
She gave him grits instead of hash brown.
Dude, that one girl, the Waffle House girl last year, that was some great viralness right there.
And instead of being normal about it, the customer went out to his car and got a gun and threatened to shoot her over it.
You've probably seen a fight at Waffle House go viral.
Waffle House gone wild. Crazy scenes like this are playing out at Waffle Houses across the USA.
You might imagine a billion-dollar company wouldn't want their customers to associate getting punched in the face with their $11 T-bone steaks. But the corporation has largely been silent despite workers demanding improved security. So we set out to investigate. Why? It turns out the chain's violent reputation isn't just getting views. It may be actually directly connected to Waffle House's wildly successful business model. I'm Alec Opperman for More Perfect Union, and today we're asking, are viral brawls good for selling waffles? I spoke to several public relations experts outside of the restaurant industry who suggested this kind of reputation is bad for business. Turns out lots of normal people don't appreciate the lingering threat of violence while enjoying a meal. So I kept looking for answers and met someone who might know what's going on here.
Waffle House doesn't really, as a company, doesn't really do much to advertise or market its brand image. So you don't see Waffle House commercials on television. You don't really hear Waffle House jingles on the radio.
That's Ty Matioski, a man who literally wrote the book on Waffle House.
The name of my book is Smothered and Covered, Waffle House and the Southern Imaginary.
But he thinks that Waffle House's lack of advertising leaves it in a unique position.
I would suggest that Waffle House kind of cedes their messaging authority to others in terms of what the brand actually means.
What the plethora of fight videos does is create a specific kind of idea about Waffle House for a specific kind of person.
People oftentimes visit Waffle House with the expectation that, they may indeed witness some of these types of occurrences firsthand.
Oh, they come back from the club.
I guess I can edit
and
my stream stuff.
It's cool to get in a fight with people that work there.
That's Gerald Green, a Waffle House worker who has achieved rockstar cook status.
Waffle House, the corporation, benefits from this because, it actually gets them a lot of free publicity online.
Waffle House is a private company, so financial estimates are few and far between. Despite their reputation, Waffle House, according to one Forbes estimate, was doing substantially better in their post-COVID recovery than comparable chains like Denny's. It seems that the mass exodus of customers one might expect from their late-night brawls hasn't happened.
Even like a bad press is still good press. It's press. It puts the company name out there.
Being open for 24 hours is partly to blame for the violence the chain attracts.
Oftentimes Waffle House gets kind of paralleled with Cracker Barrel, and so it's like Cracker Barrel is like the place you go after Sunday church, but Waffle House is where you go the night before when you've been drinking.
But unlike a bar or nightclub,
I guess I don't really live in a Cracker Barrel state, so
usually hire
or a Waffle House state for that matter.
Fully de-escalate situations and remove rowdy customers. Waffle Houses also feature open-air kitchens, according to Ty, which creates a new opportunity for customers to interact with staff. Those factors, combined with their reputation for being a home for fights, is an invitation for violent behavior that puts workers at
Yeah, there is a Waffle House here, but it's not like Waffle House. It's in a rich suburban neighborhood. There's like one, and it's in a rich suburban. I think there's another one in like Broomfield or something, but no, you don't go to Broomfield.
This idea,
unless you live in Broomfield, you're not really going to Broomfield.
You can let your freak flag fly at Waffle House during graveyard shift.
The night shift is particularly...
And I only say that because it's just like there's nothing really north of Denver that isn't just more sprawling suburbs. That's just all it is. A lot of chains and stuff.
Important to Waffle House's business.
Yeah.
According to Waffle House's founder...
It's anything up there you can get in your neighborhood. I guess it was what I'm saying is maybe other than like the Waffle House, like most of it up there is just McDonald's and it's like a food desert.
Your senior...
It's like just fast food chains and like restaurants you can get anywhere.
Rogers...
Like, ooh, Panera Bread.
Tom Forkner explained the company's business model this way. One supreme test of whether it's a good location: take a real rainy, blistery Tuesday or Wednesday night at 2 o'clock in the morning, park your...
Like I've been to the Waffle House in the rich neighborhood at like 2 a.m. before. But it wasn't interesting. It was eating waffles at 2 a.m. I wish there was more of those places. They don't really exist anymore.
And see how many
out here.
Pass. If you don't have many cars, you don't have a good spot. For Gerald, Waffle House has become a place where violence occurs on a weekly basis.
I've made people's food wrong before and they've thrown things at me. I've seen people get into fights.
Gerald's concerns are echoed by many workers. One Rolling Stone article interviewed a worker who said, "I've had
St. Louis bread co, thank you.
I've had to clean up blood from the lobby area. Just last week, there were 2 shootings at Waffle House. I feel scared." Waffle House is famous for staying open through many natural disasters, sometimes providing a lifeline for communities experiencing hurricanes or blizzards. While this has become a point of pride, a way Waffle House and its workers show up in times of need, it hasn't translated into safe...
It's also, yeah, it's going to say it's fucked up for the workers. That's one of those things that like, come on, dude. Well, we're always open. It's like, you're making your employees do that? Like, you want your fucking store open during a blizzard, you get to fly your ass out here and do it yourself. Like, you're making your employees brave like crazy storms. That's insane. That's dumb.
For working conditions or even adequate pay. Not only do workers complain of not being able to pay their bills,
God, his video is so quiet.
Deducted from their paycheck, whether they...
But then the employee interviews
Gerald
are too
says
loud.
that while it varies by store, Waffle House takes $30 a week from his paycheck.
The company, it doesn't seem interested in actually doing better. It just seems interested in making as much money as possible.
One of the most horrific cases of Waffle House's disregard for its workers happened...
I want more perfect union.
...in 2017.
My friend Jesse Hall got shot while working at Waffle House. He was hanging outside with a server. They were talking to each other when these guys walked up and attempted to rob the server. They shot him in the back.
To be clear, this was a robbery, not a drunken brawl. But Waffle House's response was characteristically grotesque.
They closed for maybe about an hour or so, but then they were open back up again and taking orders. They told me, "Yo, yeah, Jesse got shot and killed last night." And I was like, did you guys think that wasn't important to tell me before I came into work? I guess they didn't think that.
Did they do anything to improve security or anything like that to make sure stuff like this didn't happen again?
Yeah, they put up a fence and they made a bench as a memorial for Jesse. But actual tangible things to improve safety and security at the store, no. Like they sometimes say things like, we believe that we're all a big family and that we all need to stay together.
Anyone who says you're a big family.
It's almost as if they are related. They do become family. The Waffle House becomes a Waffle Home.
But like, you know,
I hated that. Did she just say a Waffle House becomes a Waffle Home? What? What? What's they paying you?
Oh, there's nothing really like tangible that they've really actually done. It was devastating for me. Like, you know, that's kind of the reason why I got involved in union organizing, to be honest with you. You know, the corporations, they put us out here, they wear our bodies down over the years, and instead
or just get shot and killed.
Caring about the people that they put into these stores, they just have us working until our last day.
It's important to note that it wasn't always like this.
Waffle House used to be one of the highest paying jobs under you can get while having to have a lot of education. But over the years, it's just progressively gotten worse and worse.
My checks average from $300 to $250. I get nothing.
Gerald and the Union of Southern Service Workers are demanding better working conditions at Waffle House and across the service industry. They've started petitioning not only for $25 an hour for cooks and servers, but round-the-clock security.
Shouldn't be.
It literally is not our problem. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It is not the duty of the public to pay for the labor of corporations. Everyone who bitches about tip culture should also support massive minimum wage increases within the food industry. No reason cooks can't make $25 an hour. No reason servers can't make $20. And guess what? You've just eliminated the need for tipping culture. Customers don't have to tip anymore if you just pay them a living wage up front. It's literally that easy. Because anyone who bitches about tipping culture, you're bitching about capitalism. You're bitching about a process and what am I looking for? A culture, not a culture, but either way. That comes directly from slavery. 100%. It comes from slavery because business owners didn't want to have to pay their slaves. So they said, oh, okay, well, as long as your slave is receiving tips, you don't have to pay them. Right? That's exactly what's going on here, essentially. They were like, no, we don't want to play back black people money. So we say that if they're getting tips from people, then you don't have to pay them. That is where tipping culture comes from. Quite literally. I don't really know what to say. Like, you just support that? Cool. Like, it's pretty easy to see that capitalism is not the thing in this situation.
You have to be an MMA fighter to work and provide for your family. I have to see a pain doctor twice a month just so I can get out of bed and work.
Gerald and the USSW collected and delivered 13,000 signatures for their demands to Waffle House corporate, but they were not greeted as family.
Have to go to the loading dock. Also said that was going to call the police. That's okay. We're going to get it delivered through all 13,000 printed off signed petitions in the trash.
In a similar show of familial ties, striking workers in South Carolina said management pulled them aside and told them if they didn't stop, there would be consequences. The workers filed a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board. Waffle House is clearly interested in keeping their labor cost as low as possible, putting workers and customers at risk to protect their bottom line. A Forbes interview revealed as much when it reported the company's post-COVID recovery was hopeful as the company saw increasing sales despite only using 80% of their normal workforce. Meanwhile, Waffle House workers are living paycheck to paycheck and facing constant violence.
$25 an hour would transform my life. For a lot of people that work at Waffle House, it would give them time to be with their families, be able to, spend time away from work.
I'm out here on strike today in honor of Jesse's memory and to demand that Waffle House respect our right to a safe work environment.
Gerald and the USSW are organizing across the South, which has long been hostile to unions. But with a wave of successful agitation across the nation, Gerald is hopeful.
Manager told
something about the southern elite class who don't like work rights.
Told me once that I had to learn how to win fights in order to work at a Waffle House. I've been
like
saying,
they don't think you should have them at all.
like, to learn how to fight for our rights. Like, we need to learn how to organize. We've seen Teamsters stand up and demand higher wages. We've seen UAW get big wins lately. Nurses and teachers are going on strike all across the country. I think this is the time for us to stand up and partake in this movement, because once we have higher wages, then things can change around here. People can actually have security within their lives, and they can actually do the things that they really want to do.
I think it's crazy that you don't want to pay people even the federal minimum wage, because that's the thing, is like, as food employees, the federal minimum wage is, I think, $2.75 an hour. Federal wage, tipped employee, $2.13 an hour, federally. So they don't even want to pay you the federal minimum wage, which is wild. I need to eat some food is what I fucking need to do. Let's see. Let me throw something on. Trying to figure out from the other day. I had a bunch of other stuff. I can't remember. After we watched other day, I can't remember now. I was gonna say. Oh, we'll do debunking every anti-communist myth. And I'm gonna grab some food. I'll be right back. Like, literally right back. Like, I'm basically gonna make this sandwich on stream.
What? It's Pepe's become kind of a symbol. Немцы дают парусу деньги, парус через Рейн.
We back.
To this day, after the time in history when it was founded, we still need communism.
Whatever they produce them.
The gentle laborer shall no longer suffer from the noxious greed of Mr. Krabs.
Said if you could go back in time and kill baby Hitler, would you? I need to know. Hell yeah, I would.
If you're a hardline Marxist-Leninist or Rosa backstabbing suckdem, you already know what it's like to advocate for left-leaning policies on the internet. And by left-leaning, I really mean anything to the left of Reagan. It's just a constant barrage of Venezuela, Animal Farm, and human nature. Just a waterfall of memorized talking points internalized since birth and spat out like the world's wrongest fountain. Even the tamest of tame suckdems are getting hit with the Venezuela line, which shows just how far right everything has gone. If you're one of those people who instinctively reject any idea of socialism or communism and just yell some overused
Don't get me wrong, I like AOC and everything, but like, she's not like that much. She's just a sockdem, dude.
debunk it without engaging in a discussion, you're probably not going to like this video. I don't even really know what you're doing here. Just go write that con about helicopters and how Vladimir Stalin killed 100 trillion people. There is a specific type of person I'm trying to reach, however. It's the type of person that understands that capitalism is flawed, but can't bring themselves to support communism or socialism simply because they've been indoctrinated since birth with the holy lines. But what about human nature, though? The biggest obstacle to being leftist is dealing with all these gotcha marks, but once you take a step back from the flood of Vuvuzuela, you'll realize that all of them don't make much sense. The problem is that a lot of people simply haven't heard responses to all these anti-communist arguments, which is why I'm going to do the world a favor by debunking all of them, and hopefully none of us will ever have to deal with these arguments again. Oh, who am I kidding?
Jesus. It's going hard on the audio.
Admittedly, this first argument is more of a misconception than anything else, and surprisingly, it tends to come from people who are new to the left, and, well, sometimes people who are just misinformed.
So what socialism means is the government does some things and the private industry does some things, right? So private industry does Coca-Cola, Nike, makes your shoes. Government does other things like your police department, your fire department, your military. So you like the military? Oh, what a socialist you are.
No. Just no. Basically, the argument goes that socialism is whenever the government does anything, so everything related to the government is socialist. Following this logic, libraries, welfare, fire departments, garbage removal, streetlights, policemen, the military, the CIA, FBI, and prisons are all socialist. Hopefully everyone can agree libraries are good, but grouping
I love our socialist prisons.
things with the military, police, and prisons is ridiculous. The police is the same institution that shoots unarmed black men, incarcerates a massive amount of the population, and gets away with murder. This type of talk comes from people who want to normalize socialism to normies by showing them that, technically, the United States already has socialism. And while I agree that normalizing socialism is good, at the same time, it's not good to basically deprive it of all meaning. So, what is socialism? Well, it's common ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange. Related to that is communism, which is a stateless, classless, and moneyless society with common ownership of the means of production. But wait, wasn't the Soviet Union and all those other places communist? How could they be when there was still a state? Well, they were run by communist parties, so they are in the sense that they were trying to achieve it, but strictly speaking, they hadn't achieved a communist society. That's enough definition squabbling. For the sake of streamlining the video, I'll just call any country that advertises itself as communist or socialist as a communist or socialist country, even if it's a bit of an oxymoron considering the definition. So please don't flame me in the comments. It's supposed to be an introductory video, and you'll type in the image
Hell yeah, dude. Hive mind dystopias?
that comes to most people's mind when the communists or socialists talk about wanting more equality is that of a bland, boring dystopia where everyone is forced to be equal. Communism would essentially force everyone to be part of a hive mind, or at least that's how the general idea goes. However, the idea that more equality means suppressing the talented elite to the common level of the masses is just wrong. When communists say we want more equality, they mean freeing the masses so they can unleash their suppressed talents. After the October Revolution, there was a flourishing of art, culture, and creativity. The Futurist movement, legalization of divorce for women, and the growth of cinema were exciting developments compared to the Tsar's regime over the masses of people. It turns out liberating millions of people from the clutches of capital creates an exciting artistic society, not one where everyone is forced to be a hive mind and conform to some incorrect abstract idea of equality. Meanwhile, in capitalism, schools prepare students for a lifetime of work, while workers have to become mindless drones in jobs that a majority of them hate.
I know what you're talking about. I like going to work every day.
And our interest is usually reserved for the rich and powerful.
I need a job, though.
While the rest must go on with their boring lives. People worse off have to deal with the growing ecological disasters that are literally killing them and destroying their homes, while the rich profit off of ignoring any sort of sustainable solution. Maybe all this talk about a communist dystopia is really just an example of capitalism projecting itself? I've already dealt with the topic of death counts, specifically concerning Stalin, in a previous video. Needless to say, when scholars looked at actual archival evidence released from the Soviet Union, they found that death counts were actually much lower than what was previously estimated. The paper, Victims of the Soviet Penal System in the Pre-War Years, found that many of the previous estimates of historians were based on guesses, rumors, or extrapolations from isolated local observations. I'm not going to go into too much detail because
Oh, you gotta love it.
they covered in the full video, but the point is, the death count of communism, which includes Stalin, tend to be overblown and exaggerated to gain more attention. A lot of the 100 million stuff comes from
Yeah, like the fact that, like, Nazi troops are a part of that number.
the Big Black Book of Communism, which was deliberately bloated to come to a nice round number. Methodology for these things is also highly suspect, as sometimes they can go as far as counting someone who stubbed their toe in a communist country another victim. This conversation about victims of communism, of course, ignores the millions of deaths under capitalism from poverty, hunger, exposure, and imperialist war.
Oh, really?
We have more than enough
Welcome in, by the way. Welcome to the home away from home.
resources to give food, water, and treat curable diseases for everyone in the world. It's capitalism that refuses to provide these
Because we're being oppressed. We're being oppressed as a community for our free thinking on Twitch.
things because they aren't profitable.
I'm a political prisoner, just like Donald Trump. No, the CNN DMCA'd me for fucking doing the fucking... yeah, for doing the CNN debate. Which I get where I'm like technically wrong in all of this, but I've done every debate live. I've done it on Fox. We've done all of these. Like, why to pick this one debate while we were doing like 90 other things too? I would argue that it was not the focus of the stream because it was smaller than even my camera. I had it, I mean, I can even right here. You know, that's all it was. And we were playing fucking Lethal Company. And talking about everything from politics to where the Bracken was. And argue free use or fair use on that. But whatever, it's fine. Yeah, and I literally had 6 viewers. Like, who am I stealing from? CNN? Because my DMC actually came from Warner Brothers directly. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Ooh, yeah, six people on a stream that's not even monetized. Oof, stealing.
Excuse me, sir, but I read this one fictional book about a farm and anthropomorphic furries, and it shows that revolution will always...
I am excited to take clips of that, though, because I do think I'm going to do... more of that. For, like, longer content. Like, you know, if there's a long speech or debate or something, and CNN did this like as a one-off. Like we watched CNN on YouTube here just a minute ago. Like I think it's just because it was technically live streaming from their website that they decided to do it. But I'm gonna do other shit. But I would like to do like other debates and maybe stuff like that while doing video games as well. I think that could be a fun idea.
Fail. George Orwell's
really get that Gen Z fucking ADHD vibe going, you know?
Animal Farm has probably done more to poison the discourse on communism than any other book.
Fuck Kinetic Sand, we're doing Lethal Company.
Even you. The most obvious reason is that it's usually taught in schools, with students being forced to swallow everything with an uncritical mind. For those of you not in the loop, Animal Farm is basically a short book with direct comparisons to the Soviet Union using farm animals, eventually showing a devolution to a brutal dictatorship of the pigs, which is totally what Marx was advocating. It's annoying to talk about any sort of leftist policy and just get Animal Farm yelled at you, like suddenly these people become experts on socialism in the Soviet Union.
It was kind of hard to get, I was up all night getting this YouTube thing to work, and I'm glad it's working. Because they were like, no, you need 50 followers. And I was kind of like, fuck you, dude. And then I got it worked out, and here we are.
After reading it, I feel like it's getting to the point that people forget Animal Farm is fiction. It's not a real thing. It completely ignores the material reality that the Soviet Union had to face, namely the invasion of 14 capitalist nations that defined its policy going forward. It also has sweeping reductions of history, combining Marx and Lenin into the same character, completely missing Lenin's important contributions to the revolution, and instead pinning them on the character representing Trotsky. This complete misrepresentation of Soviet history begins to make sense when we realize that he himself had never even visited the USSR. In addition, Orwell himself was a racist and a snitch. While hypocritically complaining about Big Brother, he reported communists to the secret police and provided them with lists of names where, in typical Mayo fashion, he calls Paul Robeson, a black internationalist, anti-white, while also being bigoted against Jews and homosexuals. At the height of World War II in a strictly anti-communist society, while the Soviet
Bad thing is I can't multitask. I know.
people were fighting to the death
It's just going to be just tonight and tomorrow.
against the Nazi hordes, Orwell somehow thought he was brave by speaking out against the Soviet Union, when in reality, he was just another tool of the bourgeoisie. Hopefully it's clear that Orwell is not
I'm going to be honest, that's one of the main reasons I pay for YouTube Premium.
the greatest source on communism, and that learning history
His
from
background, being able to play in the
itself
background.
a fairy story is not a replacement for an actual history book. If you have criticisms of the Soviet
Like, the ad-free is nice, but
The Little Mermaid, sorry to say, but I'm not going to take you seriously.
background playing really where it's at.
The fact that communist countries had famines is mocked again and again, but it ignores the fact
God forbid I take a night off
that the
streaming.
Soviet Union and China accomplished food security for the rest of their existence. A study called Economic Development
Yeah, because I think what he's talking about here is the food shortages, especially in like Russia and stuff, started before communism.
Political, economic,
I know it's
system, and
China.
physical quality of life compares socialist and capitalist countries.
But they like consider it that
Development,
they
physical quality
blame
of
it
life.
for communism for
Data
it.
for the study was taken from the World Development Report of the World Bank. Shockingly, it found the daily per capita calorie supply was actually higher in socialist countries than those of capitalist ones. Contrary to the much proclaimed no food, the average socialist citizen was receiving more food than their capitalist counterparts. By the way, the same publication also shows that not only did socialist countries have a higher calorie supply, they also had lower child death rates, higher life expectancy, population per physician, population per nursing person, adult literacy, and secondary education. In fact, the Physical Quality of Life Index, which is a composite and derived measure, shows just how superior socialist countries are to capitalist countries in terms of quality of life. The discussion section of the study goes on to say, historically there is some evidence that the discrepancies between capitalist and socialist nations have reflected varying social policies. All the socialist countries have initiated major public health efforts. These initiatives have aimed toward improved sanitation, immunization, maternal and child care, nutrition, and housing. In every case, the socialist countries have also reorganized their healthcare systems to create national health services based on
USSR went burr, yeah.
universal entitlement to care. These policies have led to greater accessibility of preventative and curative services for previously deprived groups. Expanded educational opportunities also has been a major priority of the socialist nations, as publicly subsidized education has become more widely available. Literacy campaigns in these countries have brought educational benefits to sectors of the population who earlier had not gone to school. Wow, what a dystopia. How dare these socialists improve sanitation, nutrition, housing, and education? This is George Orwell's nightmare. I also want to add that if you're skeptical of that study I showed, the CIA itself acknowledged that American and Soviet citizens eat about the same amount of food each day, but that the Soviet diet is more nutritious. Hopefully that completely satisfies anyone who still thinks everyone's starved under communism. In the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx states, "The theory of the communists may be summed up in the single sentence: abolition of private property." Many people have taken this to mean that communists don't want anyone to own anything, even to the point of sharing our toothbrushes communally. Hey, it's my turn. Oh, okay, here you go. Open wide.
Sharing toothbrushes, hell yeah. Communism. Socialist.
But anyway, if you actually read the manifesto, literally 1 second earlier from that quote, Marx says himself, "The distinguishing feature of communism is not the abolition of property generally, but the abolition of bourgeois property." How communists use private property in this context is different from the common definition. Communists don't want to take away your toothbrush or things that you possess. Those are personal property. Private property are things used to make more money and give power to those that own them, like a factory, banks, offices, and infrastructure. The abolition of private property means taking those things from private hands and putting them into the hands of the community.
Yeah, go tell that to a Reddit poster.
To sum it up, communists don't want to take away your personal
Or fucking anyone in my comments on TikTok. Oh, especially my comments on here.
property, just the private property of the ruling.
I hate posting on here. I fucking do. That's why I don't use YouTube very much. Is anytime I post on here, my comments are just, oh my god, I forget how much alt-right assholes are on this fucking website.
But under communism, wouldn't a janitor be paid the same as a doctor? Doesn't that discourage innovation? Just like every single argument against communism, this one completely misunderstands what it is. What the question misunderstands is that socialism, which was probably what was meant, doesn't mean everyone is paid the same, just that everyone has common ownership of the means of production. And as I'll cover in the next section, there are more things than just money that incentivize humans. As for innovation, just ask yourself which country went to space first. Which country industrialized at a rapid pace, turning from a backward semi-feudal country to a world superpower? If you're looking for innovation in socialist countries, there's plenty there. Historical examples of socialism, like the Soviet Union, have provided free healthcare,
Did not mention
subsidized housing that foster environment,
inflation being there, yeah.
learning. On the other hand, capitalism gives you extortionate prices for healthcare, thousands of dollars in student loan debt, and rent payments to your parasitic landlord. Imagine how many possible scientists or visionaries have died before they could achieve anything because they were unlucky enough to be born in a poor family under capitalism. If it conflicts with profits, capitalism also often ignores and discourages science, like in the case of oil companies denying climate change. Any innovation that does take place is usually for the benefit of the capitalists, not us.
The amount of work it would take to animate all this, even though he doesn't do like obviously like crazy animations, is just insane.
Ask yourself why, when a new machine or program that
You gotta really like what you do. I don't have the patience to do this.
The answer is that capitalists are calling the shots and want to cut costs to make sure that they can make as much profit as possible. Under socialism, where there's common ownership of the means of production, this type of innovation wouldn't result in layoffs, but rather pay raises and less working hours. Why would the workers fire themselves?
And I used to say this all the time when people back when Russia was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And they'd say, oh, but aren't you so glad that you're in America? I said, well, I know a lot of Russian filmmakers. They have a lot more freedom than I have. All they have to do is be careful about criticizing the government. Otherwise, they can do anything they want.
And so what do you have to do?
You have to adhere to a very narrow line of commercialism.
Hell yeah, brother. I mean, he did make an entire universe based off of an allegory of Vietnam, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Communism will never work because of human nature. Humans are too greedy and lazy to do stuff unless we had a monetary incentive like we do in capitalism. Well, let's see. What other incentives could there be besides gaining money and power to get people to do stuff? I don't know, what about survival, bettering another person's life, passion, satisfaction with your work, curiosity, boredom, an output for creativity, necessity, and companionship? What do you think happened before capitalism came about? Did people just sit down in caves and die from hunger because they didn't have any monetary incentive? I'm hungry, wanna go gather some berries? Are you gonna pay me money? What's that? And speaking of capitalism, humans spent hundreds of thousands of years
Money? What is it?
form of communism where we lived communally. Incentives to work in human nature aren't static things, they're shaped by the mode of production that we live under. If we look at history, there are huge differences in human behavior throughout the world, and to simplify it all down to a monolithic human nature is ridiculous. As the famous saying goes, to look at people in capitalist society and conclude that human nature is egoism is like looking at people in a factory where pollution is destroying their lungs and saying that it's human nature to cough. Interestingly, since it's difficult to attack the basic ideas of socialism and communism, like economic democracy and work empowerment, anti-communists have to find another way of shutting these ideas down. You know what I'm talking about. If you like socialism so much, why don't you move to North Korea? Or, if you're a socialist, why do you own an iPhone and a Karl Marx body pillow? Hey, insult me, but leave him out of it. Don't worry, Carl. The boys are gone.
Don't worry, Carl.
Socialist hypocrisy almost always never bother to address the actual ideas of socialism and serve only to attack the person talking. It's a slimy tactic that doesn't actually mean anything. The train of thought goes as follows. Socialists are against capitalism. iPhones are made in capitalism. And then their galaxy-sized brain combines these two ideas to synthesize that therefore socialists are hypocrites. The problem is that using this logic, you literally can't criticize any system at all because you're a hypocrite for living in it. I don't think I like living in a slave society very much. Haha, but you're eating food your masters gave you. I don't think I like living under feudalism very much. Haha, but you're using tools made out of feudalism. I don't think I like living under capitalism very much. Haha, but your phone and computer were made under capitalism. No matter how you spend your money under capitalism, someone is going to get exploited. That's what the there is no ethical consumption under capitalism meme means. Because no matter what, your consumption will always be unethical in some way. What these anti-communists are really saying is that if you're a socialist and own anything, you're a hypocrite. Which is such a good way to shut down discussion. The only way to satisfy these people is if you live in a makeshift hut in the woods, but even then they would complain that you're breathing air in a capitalist society. Not to mention that capitalism doesn't make anything. Labor does. Capitalism and socialism only determine who has control over the means of production and gets paid. As for the other
So coolism.
argument, if
That's
you like
great.
socialism so much, why don't you move to insert vaguely socialist country here? My response is, if you like capitalism so much, why don't you move to the slums of capitalist Brazil? Hypocrite.
That's a good point. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Argument against the far left is that, if you think about it, the far left is actually as bad as the far right. I mean, one side advocates
Yeah, one wants healthcare and the other wants you dead. Yeah.
justice and economic equality, while the other side advocates for ethno-states and the subjugation of races of people. Jokes aside, there's an unironic strain of people who believe in horseshoe theory, that the far left is just as bad as the far right because both use violence and stuff. Such compelling evidence. Of course, horseshoe theory completely ignores any sort of deep analysis of communism or fascism. But what about the Nazi Party? Nazi stands for National Socialism, so doesn't that mean they were the same as communists? Yes, that's true, but both the German Nazis and Italian fascists purposely made sure to appear leftist to appeal to the people and muddy the waters. Apparently, they did a good job because centrists are still falling for it to this day. If we look at fascism itself, we can see that it's actually closer to capitalism than it is to communism. Fascism began when capitalists needed to revitalize profits, but were stopped by those pesky unions. So capitalists funded fascism in Italy and Germany, and once in power, those same fascists suppressed communist parties, labor unions, lowered taxes on the rich, outlawed strikes, privatized prioritized state-owned companies and generally supported business. The word privatization was literally coined to describe fascist policies. To argue that fascism is left-wing or the same as communism would be to ignore who supported fascism and what fascism did. In reality, instead of a horseshoe, I would argue that ideology is more of a fishhook, with the far right sharing more in common with the centrists, who are ready to support fascism as soon as profit levels drop. This is another reason that fascism and communism are always incorrectly depicted to be two sides of the same coin. In fact, it's the central idea in a bunch of other arguments like communism is always implemented incorrectly, or communism only works on paper.
I'm getting distracted trying to figure out how to do stuff on here. There's this like... I'm trying to pull up the like thing. There's like a thing, whatever.
If communism only works on
Fucking new platform bullshit.
paper, it's a good thing I live in paper. Anyway, these three arguments are essentially the same thing, so that's why I'm mushing them together into the same section. The idea that communism is inherently authoritarian is misleading, because it only developed these things after capitalism tried to crush it. In 1918 to 20, 14 capitalist nations invaded Soviet Russia to overthrow the communists, with the years of this civil war intensifying the Bolshevik siege mentality. The same pattern of imperialist capitalist powers invading to protect capital can be seen in other countries that try to move beyond capitalism. The Spartacist uprising in Germany was suppressed by the Suckdems with fascist paramilitary forces in 1919. Catalonia was crushed by fascists in the Spanish Civil War in 1939. Cuba in 1961 suffered from an invasion and afterwards decades of terrorism from the US. Chile in 1973, Nicaragua in 1986, the Vietnam and Korean Wars, and so much more. As we can see, capitalism will stop at nothing, even going as far as supporting fascism if it means stopping communism from threatening the flow of capital. The reality is that revolutionary countries are not going to be allowed to develop a socialism that is unhindered. Instead, what we see is a sort of siege socialism, with authoritarian measures being adopted just to fight back the onslaught of the West. In the whole context, we can see that the totalitarianism of communism is not a natural development, but an unnatural one caused by the constant barrage of capitalist terrorism. So when communist states fail to defend them...
It's like when I make jokes about... I make jokes on Twitter sometimes about what a Republican will say or a conservative will say something completely insane. And I'll just retweet it and say, like, you know, maybe the re-education camps weren't a horrible idea.
Capitalist massacres and genocides. Then capitalists laugh and pin the blame on communism's inherent weakness.
And I'm joking, but you know what I mean.
Communist states do defend
like clearly, like I'm saying there needs to be authority to change things overall, but yeah, it's only because they're crazy too.
Their people from capitalist death squads. Then the capitalists run decrying the commies for being power-hungry monsters who were just authoritarian seeking to seize state power all along. So if communism is bad and weak when it fails to defend itself, but it's also bad and authoritarian when it does defend itself, then when would communism ever not be depicted to be villainous? The answer is never, because no matter what communist states do, it's always spun to be bad. This is not an argument. It's a dogma. This argument goes hand in hand.
I say that beat kind of goes hard.
The totalitarian one before. The idea goes that communist governments are oppressive and that the poor and downtrodden are prevented from exercising the democratic rights they had before. The truth, however, is much less dramatic. Democratic rights hadn't existed in these countries before communism arrived. Poland was a rightist dictatorship. Russia was a czarist autocracy. Albania was an Italian fascist protectorate. Cuba was a US-sponsored dictatorship. Lithuania, Hungary, and Romania were all fascist regimes. These countries had known little democracy. If you're actually curious about democracies under communism, check out this video detailing how Cuba's democratic system works. Needless to say, it's much better than the system we have in capitalist countries. So while capitalists are willing to virtue signal political rights and liberties in communist countries, they will brutally crush it if the people actually support the communist regimes. Before the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the people held a referendum in which the vast majority of people wished to preserve the Union. Of course, the political will of the people should be ignored if it goes against capital's interests, and it went ahead anyway. If you want to discuss political rights being taken away in communist countries, there's no better time than during the overthrow of communism. Yeltsin, the US-supported capitalist president of Russia, disbanded the Russian parliament along with every other elected represented body, abolished Russia's constitutional court, banned labor unions from political activities, outlawed parties, and attacked the parliament building, killing 2,000 people. Yeltsin's popularity rating right before the election of 1996 was 8%. It got so bad.
Didn't he die recently? Maybe he hasn't. I can't remember.
Russia to ensure his victory. Ironic considering today's situation. Russians. Russia. Oh my god, my throat. The same pattern existed in other former communist countries, with Marxists enduring political suppression and elections being rigged to prevent the people from voting to bring back communism. Whenever communists won victories in fair...
Oh, no, he's still alive. Maybe I was thinking of
judged by outside sources
Kissinger for some reason.
Bulgaria, they were forced to step down from the pressure of capitalists. All this virtue signaling about political rights from capitalists goes away when the people themselves want communism back. Wow. Look at that. Breadlines for the hungry people under communism. How shameful. This is obviously proof that communism doesn't... Wait a second. These are pictures from the Great Depression. A failure stemming from capitalism, not communism. Although it's a common stereotype that communists are bad with economics, it's often because they get the short end of the stick. Many countries were faced with decades of maldevelopment and exploitation when communism arrived. The devastation of war meant widespread poverty and misery in Eastern Europe, China, and Russia. Communism rebuilt these countries from the bottom up, leaving them in much better shape than when they found them. In contrast to communists building up formerly destroyed nations, capitalism destroyed the economies of former communist nations. When capitalism arrived in these countries, real income shrank around 30 to 40%, rent and real estate prices soared, inflation increased, consumer spending decreased by 38% in Russia, poverty and homelessness was commonplace, death rates from suicide, illness, and infant mortality increased, security for workers became essentially non-existent, and unemployment rates went as high as 30%. Keep in mind that before capitalism arrived, communist countries had full employment, free healthcare, widespread literacy and education, along with strong worker benefits. Of course, capitalists will say, the transition to capitalism and free markets will obviously have a period of hardship, but it's only temporary until economic prosperity magically appears. But guess what? They've been saying it for decades, left at the store to go get cigarettes, and haven't come back since. It only takes a quick look at Latin America to prove that something's up. As an afterthought, it's funny how capitalist apologists will laugh at breadlines in communism, but ignore the fact that there are already breadlines under capitalism. It's called the grocery store, and you actually have to pay.
What pulled us out of the Great Depression? New Deal, which was what? Pretty damn socialistic.
For the bread, and those who can't afford it just starve to death. Those commies sure are oppressive by handing out free food, huh? Sure, maybe these communist countries achieved all these great things, but doesn't the fall of these countries prove that, in the end, communism just... of communism in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe was a triumph for capitalism, but that happened over a quarter of a century ago. Let's see what's happened since. Since the collapse of communism, the United States and capitalist powers have attacked and even outright invaded various countries like Iraq, Yugoslavia, Afghanistan, Iraq again, Libya, and the smaller interventions in between. The social democracy in Scandinavia you all love? The main reason it's so strong is because communism was literally around the corner. Without communism to blunt the edges of capital, capitalists have been free to exploit workers and are continually rolling back rights. Saying the fall of communism proves it doesn't work ignores the fact that communism did work. It provided essential services like healthcare, education for free, full employment, rough income inequality, and inexpensive housing with a reliably growing economy. Compared to the instability of capitalism, communism worked far better. The only reason communism in the Soviet Union collapsed is the West's efforts to bring it down. The strains of the Cold War were the punishing amount of its GDP spent on military, the cost of being an anchor to other socialist countries and movements, Gorbachev's awful policy failures, and a coup d'etat led by Pizza Hut.
Да благодаря ему у нас есть Pizza Hut.
Look at that smug piece of shit. None of these reasons have anything to do with communism itself. On the contrary, it proves that capitalism doesn't work because of how far capitalists will go to crush any attempts at communism. As former GDR Minister Heinz Kessler said, sure, I heard about the new freedom that people are enjoying in Eastern Europe, but how do you define freedom? Millions of people in Eastern Europe are now free from employment, free from safe streets, free from healthcare, free from social security.
God. Give us all healthcare already. I need to go to the doctor, and I just lost my healthcare.
Modern-day communists are often stereotyped as lazy, good-for-nothing, white college students who want nothing to do with their lives. Of course, this is all nonsense. Communists can come from any and all backgrounds, and are usually from the most marginalized groups. And if we actually look at what people who live under communism think, we can see that a majority of them actually want communism back. As I mentioned earlier, a majority of Russians actually wanted to preserve the Soviet Union in a referendum held before the switch to capitalism.
I believe there's a poll recently that shows they still do.
The majority of Russians actually prefer the return to socialism and the Soviet Union after all this time.
Nostalgia for the Soviet Union is strong.
Oh shit, there's a new 21 Savage album?
Among the older generation here. They say that capitalism in this declining
21
have spawned rampant.
I might be listening to this.
That didn't exist before.
Такая атмосфера сегодня я чувствую в России. Потому что во многих городах уже поставили
Here, we'll do the opening on stream here in a second.
Многие не понимают, о чем говорят. Надо почитать,
Oh, I might get in trouble for that one, huh?
историю узнать, хорошо знать ее. И только тогда можно сказать, что он многих убил. А я думаю, мое личное мнение, что он не добил многих. Тогда бы сегодня не было такого бардака, извините, в нашей стране.
Just a note to add, these clips didn't come from a communist propaganda outlet, it came from Radio Free Europe, which is an anti-communist, American-funded organization. One comment said it best. Why are you playing yourself like this? You're supposed to be an imperialist propaganda outlet, lol. Anyway, back to the video. Another poll says that, reflecting back on the breakup of the Soviet Union that happened 22 years ago next week, residents in 7 out of 11 countries that were part of the Union are more likely to believe its collapse harmed their countries than benefited them. Here's another poll that shows the majority of former East Germans actually feel life was better under communism. Another that shows a whopping 72% of Hungarians say that they are worse off under capitalism. And another that shows that many Czechs say they had a better life under communism. And here's another that shows the majority of Serbs say life was better under Tito. Okay, you get the point. Country after country, you see large amounts of people, and usually majorities, that want to bring communism back. What a surprise that a system that benefited people's lives is actually popular with the people who lived under it, contrary to the blatant lies of those in power.
Beep boop. Apathy detected. Initiating speed round debunking.
Good. Yes, you there. What is survivorship bias?
Type C.
Yes.
Why is it so small? Oh. How about now? Okay, probably better. Hopefully.
You foolish commie. Have you ever considered Vuvuzuela? There it is, the elephant in the room. I've avoided talking at length about specific countries for this video because I simply can't cover all of them and I would get a lot of comments saying I forgot to include this country or the other. But Venezuela is pretty much something that anyone to the left of Joseph McCarthy has heard, and I do mean it, so I'll make an exception this time. Now, why is Venezuela in such a bad place? Is it because of socialism? No. Venezuela funds public programs by relying on the money it makes on oil. When the price of oil collapsed, that meant a lot of its funds for these things did as well. So the root cause of Venezuela's financial struggles has to do with the sudden collapse of oil prices, a staple of capitalist markets, not socialism. Not to mention that US sanctions are wielded horrifically to cripple the economy and starve the people, and that corporations
Wait, is it? Nope, as in it's not better?
are hoarding and hiding food from the people. Kulak style, chaos, hunger, and strife is inevitable.
Bye. Who gonna stop me? Who gonna stop me, huh?
When you're the target of American imperialism. And despite this economic chaos, the people of Venezuela still support the Bolivarian Revolution, Chavez, and
It's probably something with the court. I'll figure it out.
the democratically elected Maduro over the US-backed attempted coup.
Trying to figure out how much trouble I'm going to get in if I listen to Spotify on here.
In fact, they probably support it more now because the US is starving and attacking them. The problem is that with Venezuela being America's #1 target right now, the corporate media is working overtime to try and print a lot of misinformation. Like, for example, when a news story broke out about Venezuelans burning aid, it was immediately called out as fake by people with a strange ability called critical thinking. It wasn't until weeks later that the failing New York Times finally published a piece revealing that, yes, the footage probably wasn't real. But Maduro's still a dictator, guys. Please listen to us. What I'm saying is, with Venezuela being the target of American imperialism, don't believe everything you read on the news. Like, come on guys, we've been through Iraq and we all know how that ended. Hopefully you can all see why the US is so interested in Venezuela. It's easy to debunk all these arguments, but we'll never get anywhere unless we examine why anti-communism is so prolific. Communism, first and foremost, is a threat to property owners, so ruling interests have made sure to pound anti-communist doctrine into our heads for literally centuries. I gave a little snippet of this idea earlier, but a full explanation is given by Michael Parenti in Black Shirts and Reds. In the United States, for over 100 years, the ruling interests tirelessly propagated anti-communism among the populace, until it became more like a religious orthodoxy than a political analysis. During the Cold War, the anti-communist ideological framework could transform any data about existing communist societies into hostile evidence. If the Soviets refused to negotiate a point, they were intransigent and belligerent. If they appeared to be willing to make concessions, this was but a skillful ploy to put us off our guard. By opposing arms limitations, they would have demonstrated their aggressive intent, but when in fact they supported most armament treaties, it was because they were mendacious and manipulative. If the churches in the USSR were empty, this demonstrated that religion was suppressed, but if the churches were full...
Yeah, it doesn't look like I can really get away with it on here. I can't really listen to music on here. That fucking sucks.
This meant that people were rejecting the regime's atheistic ideology. If the workers went on strike, as happened on...
Well, it might just... I don't know.
infrequent occasions, this was evidence of their alienation.
It might be okay. I put up some videos last night with some music in it, and it was fine. I just don't want to, like, fuck up and get banned right away.
They didn't go...
You know what I mean?
Because they were
like, I only have to do this for, like, 2 days. That's all I want. I just want to listen to the beginning of the 21 Savage album.
Intimidated and lacked freedom. In this sense, anti-communism
just do it on my own.
To take, but rather an unfalsifiable religious doctrine. And as we know, anything that can't be proven false...
Better safe than sorry.
...scientific. Most people absorb this sort of anti-communist doctrine by osmosis simply from interacting and living in a capitalist society. They never bother even learning what communism is, just that it's against human nature and Venezuela. And have you ever read this little book called Animal Farm? Trying to challenge these notions is exhausting simply because, to them, ideas are not at stake, but rather their whole view of reality. In Mark Fisher's book, Capitalist Realism, he discusses a widespread condition that contributes to this prevailing anti-communism. Capitalist realism, as Fisher describes, is the sense that not only is capitalism the only viable political and economic system, but that it is impossible to even imagine an alternative to it. As the phrase goes, it's easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism. Maybe it's not that people are hostile to communism, just that the very idea of life beyond capitalism is impossible for us to even picture. With the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc, excluding a few examples, actual existing socialism is pretty much extinguished from the world. Capitalism won, and now we take it for granted that it's pretty much all we know. Capitalist realism is so prevalent that even debunking anti-communism contributes to it. Sure, capitalism may spread poverty, famine, and war, but isn't that just reality? Isn't it utopian to even suggest that these things can be eliminated? In this way, capitalism presents itself as an unchangeable reality, therefore any action to move beyond it is simply unrealistic. But as with all realities, it's not the full story. It's entirely possible to eliminate poverty, famine, and war. In fact, we're well able to do it right now. Capitalism's need for ever-growing markets and infinite resources has depleted our planet and brings us ever closer to environmental catastrophe, breaking apart the notion that capitalism is the best system we have. Capitalism is literally going to destroy the entire planet, and we have very little time to do anything about it. We have to realize that capitalism is not natural. It is literally killing us and the world we inhabit. We must achieve an alternative, or it will drag humanity and the planet down with it.
Oh, this person's saying it just mutes it like Twitch does. If that's the case, then I might do it. I don't think it's worth testing, though. I can test it.
You foolish mortal!
I can test it when we have Twitch back, and we can give it a test and see. For future knowledge, but it's not worth it.
Strawman fallacies and ad hominem attacks. We live in a society, Venezuela, unfoods, animal farm, human nature.
Wait a second.
Hey, no, don't touch me!
This has been a fun video.
I knew it was you all along. And I could have gone away with it too if it weren't for you meddling commies. Take him away, NKVD. Thank you, sir, and please be on the lookout for any more counter-revolutionary activity. I often get told in the comment section of videos that I'm biased and stuck in my own bubble. And let me just say that you're right. But the thing about bias is that it doesn't really mean anything because everyone skews everything to their own perspective. The only difference between me and everyone else is that I'm willing to admit it. Look at it this way. How many times have you heard the claims that communism killed 100 million people, or communism always leads to dictatorship? How many times have you ever complained to this anti-communist speaker that they were being biased against communism? If your answer to the second question was 0, then what you're really mad about isn't that I'm biased, but that I'm presenting inconvenient information that goes against your worldview. Too often, skepticism is weaponized against one side without actually applying it to the other as well. I'm not asking you to accept everything I've argued without doubt, I'm just asking you to apply that same doubt to yourself and what you think you know as well. Anyway, I know you hardcore leftists in the comments will be telling me that this video reeks of liberalism and it's naive to believe that arguments, debates, and facts can win people over in this post-Trump world. And that's actually a pretty good point. I had that exact thought while I was making this video. I mean, as I explained earlier, the proliferation of anti-communist sentiment is ingrained in us, and it's almost impossible to imagine a future beyond capitalism. But maybe it's the little lib inside of me that believes that people aren't just global loudspeakers of capital. I mean, before I became the plucky communist I am now, I was just another person spouting off these exact anti-communist talking points. It wasn't until I stopped and listened to real communists that my mind slowly started changing. As for this video, I'm reminded of a line Lenin wrote after years of working on the development of capitalism.
Lenin. That's what they call him, Lenin.
If the writer of these lines has succeeded in providing some material for clarifying these problems, he shall regard his labors as not having been fruitless.
End card. What's he have? God, that's a long fucking end card. All right. I think this has been a good stream, and I think it's a good place to call it. Because I'm still interested in what I have to do live-wise. I don't know if I'm allowed to keep the VOD up because I watched YouTube videos the entire time, so I don't know if I'm allowed to keep the VOD up. And I have to make sure I'm not going to get banned on here, too. So, but thank you, everybody, for coming out to the YouTube stream. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Maybe we'll do some more gaming tomorrow, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna dip out. I'm not gonna raid anyone because that's not really a thing, I don't think, on here. So I guess I just end stream. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. To be honest, we might be good on Twitch tomorrow too. I forget when I got banned. It said 48 hours, but if it's getting late, maybe I'll start here and then head to Twitch, because I know Twitch should be available at least around 10 p.m. tomorrow. I think it's more like 9:30. But maybe I'll start here and then we can head back over to Twitch. We'll do kind of like a swap over. Or maybe we'll just do YouTube tomorrow. I'll figure it out. I'll make a post. I'll post everywhere and let everyone know, and I'll drop in Discord. But yeah, have a good night and be safe out there.